This young man is Ravis Vindica. He was originally the son of the great demon king, the ruler of the demon world, but because of his excessively brutal nature, he single-handedly annihilated an entire demon clan that opposed him. His father had only ordered him to find evidence of their rebellion, but the result angered countless powerful clans in the demon world. To quell the matter, he was exiled to the human world, his soul forced into the body of a student named Dung Min-ho, who had just been bullied into a coma for a week. In his new identity, Ravis gradually discovered that his previously sealed demonic power reacted to the malice of human beings. Little by little, he learned to wield his power in the human world, all while searching for clues to find his way back to the demon world. Alright, that's enough of a summary. Let's get into the main story. A faint call echoed from within the castle under the quiet night sky. Ravis appeared, his eyes rolled back, looking completely devoid of life. His body was stained crimson with blood. In the distance, two strange figures appeared. One stood majestic, while the other was hunched over, spewing curses. "You damned dog!" With a wounded body trembling all over, Bavir H scowled and roared in resentment. "You think you can get away with this massacre?" However, the figure before him showed no fear, and replied, "The H clan. You think I don't know what you've been doing?" That person was none other than Ravis. "This isn't a massacre, it's an execution." Then, he raised his claw, his eyes glaring, and said, "Carried out by Ravis Vindica." Immediately after, a blood-curdling scream echoed throughout the entire castle. The scene shifts to the arrogant one from before, now kneeling before another powerful figure who was interrogating him. "Ravis, how dare you do this? You fool who doesn't know his place. I told you to bring back evidence of their treason, not to execute them. You, a Vindica, dare to disrupt the order of this demon world." With a grim expression, he declared, "You've gone too far this time." These rebukes came from Ravis Vindica. Despite being bound, Ravis couldn't help but scream back. "What do you mean, father? There was evidence everywhere. You knew it too. Those H-clan members were beyond saving. It's all because of those decrepit old fools who suck up to the H family. Even with proof, we can't punish them. How many of their crimes have already been overlooked?" At that moment, a figure standing nearby scowled, glancing at him with a strangely calculating look. Hearing this, Ravis Vindica's face darkened as he lectured his son. "Even an execution requires proper procedure. Your subjective judgment is not part of that procedure." But those words didn't seem to reach Ravis's ears at all, and he showed clear contempt. "Procedure? Execution? Ridiculous." He looked like he was going mad, his eyes blazing as he stubbornly shouted, "Darkness swallows the shadows. Isn't that the law of survival in the demon world?" Those words immediately made the man frown, leaving him momentarily speechless. Noticing the silence, Ravis Vindica pressed his advantage, raising his voice again. "Father. No, great demon king. You can't even swallow the darkness that's right in front of your eyes, and you can still be considered the emperor of this demon world? You know full well that the order of the demon world is being manipulated by the nobles." Ravis Vindica, however, did not agree with him at all, sighing slowly. "I never knew you were so short-sighted, truly foolish." Ravis's defiance didn't stop there. As soon as the man finished speaking, he continued, "The Vindica name can only survive if the H clan is eliminated. They have committed all sorts of crimes to seize the throne. Didn't you send me to investigate for that very reason, instead of those cowards who hide behind the H clan, turning a blind eye to the established order?" Just like before, as the words poured out, the man fell silent once again. After a long moment of contemplation, Ravis Vindica closed his eyes briefly before speaking in a sarcastic tone. "This is getting us nowhere. Your punishment has been decided by the 12 black seats." That decisive statement made Ravis freeze and repeat, "Punishment?" Immediately after, the man could no longer maintain his composure and shouted in a furious voice, "Ravis, for violating the laws of the demon world and massacring the H clan, you are hereby exiled to the human world." As soon as the sentence was declared, Ravis's eyes widened as he mumbled, "The human world?" Instantly, he became extremely distressed, stammering as he raised his voice to ask, "Father, no. Are you serious?" Faced with this astonishment, Ravis Vindica stood tall and firmly decreed, "Ravis, to pay for your sins. Your powers will be sealed in the human world. Go there and learn the dignity of a Vindica." As he finished, panicked screams rang out desperately. "No, father, it's true I killed the H clan members, but I didn't destroy their souls." But despite his denial, the man insisted, "What are you waiting for? Carry it out." The screaming didn't stop, even as countless magic circles formed around him. "Damn it! I won't accept this. Stop it. I can't go. I did nothing wrong." Weaving through the crowd, a figure was faintly smiling, watching Ravis scream in agony before him. This made Wanbei even more excited, and he had to lean in to utter a taunt. "Have a nice trip, you disgraced prince." His smile grew more and more sinister. "I'll take good care of this place." This forced Ravis to spit out a curse through his gritted teeth. "You bastard, The words had barely left his mouth when Ravis screamed in a pain so intense it seemed to tear space itself apart. Ravis is sentenced to exile in the human world. Laws of the human world. 1. Remain faithful to the life in the body you are imprisoned in. 2. You may not die before your appointed time. 3. You may not kill humans. Violation will result in the destruction of your soul. The scene shifts as a young man suddenly bolts upright with an indescribable look of shock on his face. Dung Min-ho's mouth was wide open as he let out ragged, difficult gasps. He instinctively brought his hands up in front of his face in disbelief, his fingertips curling slightly as they trembled. Then, he suddenly let out a dry cough. Immediately after, Dung Min-ho clutched his head and lamented, "Damn it. I'm really in the human world." He then remembered that smug look on Wanbi's face and scowled. "That dog Wanbi? He dares to mess with me? When I get back, I'll break his horns first. Why does this human body ache all over?" Then, Dung Min-ho slowly lifted his body out of bed and stood up straight, his eyes ceaselessly scanning his current form, his tone filled with disdain. "I'm trapped in this weak body." He suddenly turned his head and cursed in his mind. "Useless, wretched H-clan members. Even breathing is difficult. Is anyone here?" At that moment, the door creaked open, and a girl's head peeked in. What was that noise? But before she could even ask her question, the sight of Dung Min-ho made her exclaim, "You!" Her eyes immediately filled with tears as she ran to him. "You're awake?" Without hesitation, she threw herself into his arms and sobbed, "Thank goodness. I was so afraid you'd never wake up." But the sudden contact made him freeze as he thought, "Who is this? Is this the body's family?" Before he could even finish that thought, another figure appeared before him. She suddenly covered her face with both hands and broke down, sobbing. "Thank heavens, you're awake. You must have been in so much pain." But this whole scene just made Dung Min-ho frown and rack his brain, thinking, what the hell is going on? What am I supposed to do now? They say the human world is one of the 3 great hells. Can I really survive here? Before that thought could fade, another pair of legs slowly approached. Dung Tae-sik, with his imposing figure, spoke up. "So, you're awake." But his appearance made Dung Min-ho's mother say to him worriedly, "Dung Min-ho just woke up." In contrast, the man's stern gaze fixed on him, making him freeze. Without another word, the man callously turned to leave, saying, "Hurry up and get ready for school tomorrow. You've been lying in bed for a whole week. You'll have to work hard to catch up." His departure left the woman flustered, and she followed him, pleading, "Honey, Dung Min-ho is still silent. We should just be thankful." But seeing Dung Min-ho's unchanging expression, Dung Min-ho turned to him and asked, "Brother, how are you feeling?" But in his mind, he recalled the man's expression from a moment ago. "What's this?" he thought. His own face immediately lit up with excitement. "I think I kinda like that guy. So, there are humans here who are just like demons." But his expression made the girl exclaim in confusion, "Brother." Then, Dung Min-ho's eyes flashed, his face darkening with a calculating look as he thought to himself, "I instinctively like that man. I have to be careful before this body's memories start coming back." The scene shifts to a clear blue sky above a school building, buzzing with lively chatter. "Dung Min-ho, we're here." "So, this is a school?" He was dropped off at school, but his mother couldn't help but say worriedly, "If you don't feel well in class, make sure you call me, okay?" She watched his figure walk away, her eyes filled with anxiety. Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho was walking and thinking about something else entirely. "The last time I was in school was 6 years ago, back in the demon realm. I can't believe I'm this old and still have to attend a human school. This is truly hell." Then he froze, realizing, wait a minute, the human world is supposed to be a hell, isn't it? The scene changes to a classroom. Dung Min-ho made his way to his classroom, his thoughts still racing. "That's right, humans struggle to even live past 100 years. I just need to live quietly so my soul doesn't get destroyed. I've already bought myself some time by wiping out the House of Ruin. All that's left is to return and inherit my father's throne, before the Ravis Vindica royal family is in danger again." But as he was lost in thought, 2 of his classmates suddenly approached. "Well, look who it is. Dung Min-ho, long time no see, huh?" Hearing that tone, he turned around with an uninterested expression. "What now?" 2 leaned in, draping an arm over his shoulder and said, "I wonder if our dear Dung Min-ho brought his absence fee?" But his body's reaction left him completely stunned. My body. It flinched automatically. Suddenly, a flood of old memories rushed into his mind. An unfamiliar face appeared, followed by the image of this very guy's mocking smile. And in the memory, this body was cowering, trembling uncontrollably in fear. Snapping back to the present, Dung Min-ho's eyes widened. He glanced over his shoulder, his mind racing with thoughts. So these bastards are the reason this body was injured? While he was thinking it over, 2 smacked him on the back of the head and sneered. "Hey man, what are you so scared of? We're all friends here. Are you even more of a wimp than before? It's been a while. You should greet us properly. Now, hand over the friendship fee." Dung Min-ho barely had time to react, the thought just forming in his mind. Don't tell me. I'm being shaken down? Just then, another memory surfaced, Cynthia, giving a lecture. Look closely. This is a human. Observe it carefully. Her words immediately caused an uproar among the students. They have no horns. So vulgar. They probably stink too. Instead of chiding them, she simply agreed with a sigh. That's right. Humans are an incredibly vulgar species. They'll do anything to hide their own weaknesses. What's more, they're a foolish race that worships both demons and angels. Ravis then chimed in with a sneer. We should just burn all those fools to ashes. At that moment, Cynthia conjured a brilliant ball of magic, her voice echoing with conviction. Indeed, Ravis, if you ever encounter a human, to crush their vulgarity into dust. Back in the present, recalling that memory made Dung Min-ho seethe. How dare these insignificant mortals touch me? Meanwhile, Tu was casually scrolling through his phone beside him when a hand suddenly shot out and grabbed him by the hair. Instantly, he slammed Tu's head down hard onto a nearby desk. Humans really are idiotic. Seeing his friend yelling, "Let me go, you bastard!" Sung-hyun froze in shock. Seeing this, he didn't hesitate to charge forward, yelling, "What the hell? Are you crazy?" But as he approached, Dung Min-ho's eyes began to glow with a red light. This stunned Dung Min-ho, my demonic energy. It's reacting. Meanwhile, the other guy kept charging, spewing insults. You bastard! Did almost dying melt your brain? You got a death wish? Just as he said that, Sung-hyun swung his fist. Dung Min-ho easily dodged it, but his eyes widened in surprise as a thought occurred to him. Well. Do human curses stimulate demonic energy? There's a link between their profanity and my power. The moment he realized this, Dung Min-ho didn't hesitate to punch the guy square in the face. The blow sent Sung-hyun flying backwards, his body slamming hard into the wall. This sight left every other student in the classroom speechless with shock. Dung Min-ho, however, paid them no attention. He stared at his hand, thinking, my demonic energy should be sealed in the human world. But even in a human body, it seems to react to wickedness. Just then, from behind him, Lim S stammered quietly, Dung Min-ho, is that really the Dung Min-ho I know? Refusing to back down, Tu grabbed a chair and raised it high, ready to strike back. You dare hit me? I'll bash your head in. Seeing this, the other boy's eyes widened, and he yelled out a desperate warning. Dung Min-ho, watch out behind you. He had already sensed it and glanced back, immediately delivering a merciless kick straight to Tu's stomach. Doubled over in pain, Tu cursed in disbelief. What the hell? He glared at Dung Min-ho and spat out another curse. You little wimp. But before Tu could finish, Dung Min-ho cut him off. I've heard that when humans try to hide their weakness, they become even more vulgar. Do you think swearing makes you stronger? As soon as he spoke, he drew his leg back again. Then, in a flash, he kicked upwards, catching Tu square on the chin and snapping his head back. Another image flashed through Dung Min-ho's mind as he thought, the origin of all human curses actually comes from my mother. But now, Tu was on the ground, knocked out flat on his back by him. This sent the entire classroom into a panic. Murmurs and whispers quickly filled the air. Dung Min-ho took down Tu and Sung-hyun. What the hell is going on? This is insane. In contrast, Dung Min-ho just stood there silently amidst the noise. And here I was, told to just live a quiet life, and then go back. Suddenly, he turned to the other students, standing on the other side, and spoke. Any of you over there want to curse me out? Let's see you try. The boys in the class were bewildered by Dung Min-ho's savage expression. Is that really Dung Min-ho? Oh my god. Even Lim was stunned, thinking to himself in amazement, is Dung Min-ho really that strong? While the others were gossiping about him, Lim slowly walked over. His face showed genuine concern as he asked Dung Min-ho, are you okay? But Dung Min-ho didn't answer right away, a slight smirk playing on his lips, as he looked at Lim's clueless expression and thought to himself. So, the one who wanted to help me earlier is to be my new retainer. With that sinister thought, Dung Min-ho slowly replied, I'm fine. The scene shifts to the afternoon. An admiring voice chattered on endlessly. Seriously, how did you take on both of them? That was so damn cool. Dung Min-ho, were you just reincarnated from another world or something? But that joke made him freeze. How did he find out? Meanwhile, Lim continued to tease him jokingly. A martial arts world? Or a video game? In contrast, Dung Min-ho didn't answer, seriously considering that his retainer had figured out his true identity. Then, a memory surfaced of two figures talking as they walked. Ravis, you must not kill humans in the human realm. If you do, your soul will be completely erased. But why? Lady Cynthia told us we should crush the vile human race. Wanbi glanced at him and slowly explained that she only said that for effect, and that they must not take human death lightly. We are gods who manage the death of humans. But Ravis just shot him a sidelong glance and raised a question. But don't humans kill each other all the time anyway? Hearing this, Wanbi turned away, his voice filled with clear acknowledgement. That is why they are so ignorant. And why we exist. Ravis, however, didn't take his eyes off him, letting out a long, weary sigh. The two of them stood high above, looking out at the scenery, as their conversation continued. Remember, killing a human leads to soul annihilation. Why should I remember? I'm a demon god. It's not like I'll ever go to the human realm. Back in the present, with Dung Min-ho, he looked up at the sky and thought, if I can't kill him, how am I supposed to shut him up? While he was racking his brain, Lim, beside him, suddenly lowered his head and mumbled, it would be nice if reincarnation was real. I wish I could wake up in another world. His voice trailed off. This made him realize instantly that he could practically smell the extreme suffering coming from this kid. Lim kept his head down as he walked, continuing to speak. I know all that reincarnation stuff sounds silly, right? And I know better than anyone how much you've had to endure before you finally snapped. But contrary to Lim's gloomy mood, Dung Min-ho felt a sense of relief. Good, so he doesn't know. Suddenly, Lim broke into a smile and praised him. You were really cool back there, Dung Min-ho. But that compliment was like a knife to his ears, as he thought with disdain, getting praised by a mere mortal. The scene changes to a high-rise apartment building. Dung Min-ho sat on his bed, his mind racing. When I was insulted by that human, my demonic power was definitely activated. A demon trapped in a human body shouldn't be able to use magic. He looked at his hand, utterly confused. What's going on? Dung Min-ho's gaze froze for a long moment, then a smirk spread across his lips as he thought with satisfaction. It's just as I thought. His face immediately flushed as he fell into a state of pure narcissism. The great Ravis has no limits. But his confidence didn't last long before he suddenly winced in pain. Why does it hurt all of a sudden? Dung Min-ho clutched his left arm, his whole body trembling involuntarily. As light crept into the room, he was still curled up on the bed. In agony. This weak body can't handle my power. Now my whole body aches. His face was now contorted in discomfort as he thought, I've only lived like a human for one day, and it's already this miserable. Suddenly, Dung Min-ho's eyes widened in pain before he grumbled in frustration. How am I supposed to sleep if it keeps hurting like this? Famous last words. The next thing he knew, he was snoring loudly. Time passed quickly, from night to morning, and then to afternoon. The setting was once again the familiar school grounds. Dung Min-ho and Lim were walking together after class, and once again, Lim couldn't stop praising him. It's been so long since we had a peaceful day at school. Thanks, Dung Min-ho. Because of you, no one's bothering us anymore. In contrast to Lim's gentle tone, Dung Min-ho replied with a gruff expression. Whatever, I just wanted to beat them all up. I want to test my power. As they continued walking, a voice called out his name, Dung Min-ho. Hearing that, the two of them reflexively turned around. In front of them stood Thu, next to a tall young man who was looking down his nose at them. You're the one who beat up my little brother, aren't you? I've been protecting you for so long. And this is how you repay me? Those words made Lim, standing next to him, break out in a nervous sweat. But unexpectedly, Dung Min-ho suddenly looked thrilled, making Lim's eyes go wide in shock. More insults. That's right. Seeing this, the guy turned around and said, Follow me. In a hidden corner of the school, a voice rang out. Thu, I told you. He patted his brother's head mockingly. Don't get beaten up. You let a weakling like this pound on you? Hearing that, his brother stammered, I'm sorry. As soon as he finished, he turned to Dung Min-ho and asked, Dung Min-ho, what am I supposed to do with you? His face suddenly moved in close to Dung Min-ho's. He growled, If I let you go, how is my little brother supposed to keep his underlings in line? Huh? Then he poked Dung Min-ho's forehead and added, Did your mother teach you to hit a good kid like him? But Dung Min-ho remained perfectly calm as he slowly answered. She sure did. That blunt reply made Thu's brother exclaim in surprise. You little punk. He suddenly raised his hand, ready to strike. You're smiling? The arm flew so fast it was just inches from hitting Dung Min-ho. But before it could connect, he effortlessly caught it, thinking with delight. Insults that bring up someone's mother are always the best. Then, without letting go, he squeezed the guy's wrist tightly. The immense pressure made him scream out in terror. What the hell? Dung Min-ho didn't answer. He just swung his arm and thought to himself, Oh, my noble mother, you who blessed the tongues of humans with such venom. He immediately landed another blow to his face, sending him reeling. Right after, a flurry of punches rained down, aimed squarely at him. Violence only affects the physical body. But insults can gnaw away at the very soul. These petty creatures are desperately calling your name. Thu, standing behind, began to scream frantically, Boss, that son of a bitch. Even Lim S, who was nearby, was completely shocked by Dung Min-ho. Meanwhile, the guy getting beaten to a pulp could only turn and call out to his underlings. What are you guys standing around for? Get him! He immediately recognized their intent and slowly sized them up. Planning to gang up on me, are you? His eyes suddenly shot wide open, his pupils glowing brightly. Even better. Instantly, Dung Min-ho charged forward, taking down each one of them in the blink of an eye. The more evil there is, the stronger I become. Seeing this, Lim S screamed in terror. Her shriek echoed throughout the deserted school. His arms slowly lowered. Dung Min-ho looked up and took a steady breath. With every one of them beaten senseless behind him, he spread his arms and exclaimed, "So refreshing." A memory once again surfaced in his mind. Uncle granted violence to everyone, while mother created wicked words. Violence is great. Violence truly is the peak. Now I understand why you gave this to humans. Thank you, Uncle. Nearby, Lim S slowly approached and softly called out, "Dung Min-ho." But from a distance, a blazing red light was aimed at Dung Min-ho. In a small burrow, there was a rat. Its red eyes glowed strangely, and in fact, those eyes had recorded the entire scene. "As you can see, my lord, the mission you assigned has been carried out." The image was projected onto another screen as a voice rang out, "My dear nephew, Ravis." A foot crushed the head of a blue demon beneath it. In front of him, Baka was smiling with delight. "Looks like you really like your uncle's gift." Wanbi, who was nearby, looked at him through the screen and added, "A demon bloodstone carved into his eye instead of a nightstone. How much longer do you intend to endure?" A sinister expression appeared on Ravis's face as he was watched on the projector. A dark, eerie laugh emanated from within a gloomy castle. Inside the castle, two mysterious figures were intently watching the image of Dung Min-ho. That bastard, Ravis Vindica. He really wiped out the entire blood demon clan. Wanbi turned his head to glance at the man behind him and spoke calmly. Ravis Vindica always gets what he wants. Baka, sitting casually on his throne, smirked and said, "In the end, who can possibly control that stubborn brat? Still, to throw him into the human world without a second thought. Gamude truly shows no mercy." An image of Gamude Vindica appeared. Wanbei stood before a cracked stone basin and said darkly, "When dealing with a high-ranking tyrant, only suppression by force is effective. That is the creed of the great demon king Gamude." Baka, still maintaining a nonchalant air, spoke while filing his nails. "The human world is where the demon realm exiles its worst criminals. Ravis Vindica won't adapt so easily." He hummed cheerfully at the thought of the scene where he'd torment his nephew until he cried. When did that kid get old enough to start causing this much trouble? "Uncle, save me." "What did you just say?" Wanbi suddenly spun around to look directly at his master, who was perched on the throne. "Is that why you granted him the bloodstone?" Then he suddenly spread his arms wide, his cloak billowing in the wind. "Lord Baka, the preparations to summon the exiled sinner from the human world are complete." Hearing this, Baka grinned, revealing a full set of pearly white teeth. "Show me, Wanbi." In response, Wanbi just coldly raised his hand. A stream of dark energy flew from his hand, and a large orb of dark energy slowly materialized in front of Wanbi. Streams of dark energy from all directions then began to pour in like a flood. Images of horrific demons also appeared as he spoke. Once Ravis Vindica descends to the human world, he will sooner or later run into them. Ba Ka pushed himself up and slowly rose from his throne. He held out his hand, and a small wisp of dark energy was drawn towards it. Then, the large streams of dark energy that were in the stone basin were rapidly absorbed by Ba Ka. The thick, black energy converged into a perfect sphere in his hand. An image of Dung Min-ho appeared in Ba Ka's mind again, causing him to smirk with amusement as he absorbed the dark energy. "How interesting, my nephew, Ravis Vindica. You're about to get a taste of true darkness." A pot filled with spicy rice cakes and fish cakes appeared. What the hell just happened? Dung Min-ho, even too, was taken down so easily. Lim S's eyes sparkled with admiration as she looked at him. "That was amazing. I thought I was watching a movie." Dung Min-ho, who had been moved to tears by the delicious food, still tried to act tough. "So this is hell? It's nothing special." Lim S looked at him, slightly speechless. "But Dung Min-ho, are you crying?" Dung Min-ho retorted stubbornly. "Idiot, it's just sweat coming out of my eyes." Lim S gently chided him. "I told you we should have called an ambulance for those guys." Hearing this, he thought to himself as he chewed, "A demon who runs away from hell isn't worthy of being called a demon." Suddenly, the phone on the table began to vibrate violently, successfully catching Lim S's attention. On the phone screen, an incoming call was displayed, Jin Jae-hee, mobile phone. When she saw it, her face turned pale with fear. Dung Min-ho, his cheeks stuffed with food, asked, "What is it? Why aren't you answering?" Lim S lowered her head and said hastily, "Dung Min-ho, I just got an urgent call." She gave an awkward laugh, grabbed her bag, stood up, and looked back at him, who was still eating. "I'll get going. Enjoy your meal." Lim S left under Dung Min-ho's displeased and dissatisfied gaze. Her hand, frightened by something unknown, trembled uncontrollably. He watched Lim S leave out of the corner of his eye as he ate. Dusk had fallen on a small, deserted alley. An old warehouse came into view, its outer door tightly shut, as if it hadn't been used in a long time. A tattoo needle slowly descended. Jin Jae-hee was currently trying to tattoo the person lying on the bed, causing them to scream in pain. Hearing this, she said, "Don't move, it'll hurt." Horrifying photos of men with pained expressions were plastered all over the wall. "See? Who told you not to pay your debts on time? Now you're just making more work for me." Jin Jae-hee looked down at the man's face, which was completely drained of energy, as if admiring a satisfying piece of her own work, and said cheerfully, "All right, all done." The man's eyes rolled back into his head, his face filled with indescribable agony. "Turned out pretty well. You've got some nice skin, huh?" A voice from behind called out, causing her to glance over. "Miss G, we brought her." Lim S was brought forward, held by the shoulders by a tall man. He looked at Jin Jae-hee and tremblingly called out, "Jae-hee?" I saw Lim S gracefully turn around, smile, and say, "What is it? Why are you so late? It's me. Take a good look." The bright surgical light shone down. Lim S's face was grabbed tightly, and he gritted his teeth, trying to resist. "Open your eyes and look closely." She forced him to look straight at the horrifying face of the man below. "What do you think this means?" The words on the man's forehead were incredibly clear. "Do in." It means worthless scum. Jin Jae-hee looked at Lim S's terrified face and whispered gently in his ear, "This guy is being punished for not paying his debts." Her voice suddenly turned chilling, her face twisted with a hint of madness, causing Lim S to tremble uncontrollably. "And what about you, Lim S? How's that promise of ours coming along?" He trembled and stammered in reply, "That, Lim S's eyes widened in fear. "Lately, there have been a lot of errors." A sharp slap echoed through the room. Jin Jae-hee had slapped him so hard his face turned red, and he crumpled to the floor, clutching his cheek. "You think this is a joke? Huh?" She lifted the tattoo needle in her hand, admiring it. At the same time, two burly men came and dragged Lim S up, causing him to scream in terror. "Why can't you get it through your head?" Lim S struggled in pain, trying to break free from the two men's grasp. With a crazed, hungry look on her face, Jin Jae-hee walked over and lifted Lim S's arm. "How about I carve it right onto the back of your hand so you'll remember?" Hearing this, he cried and struggled even more violently, desperately begging, "No." Jin Jae-hee opened her mouth and said softly, "Hey Lim S, listen carefully." She slowly lifted the needle. "This is the last chance I'm giving you." Then she knelt on one knee, looking straight at Lim S. "Do exactly what I told you to do." Jin Jae-hee grabbed a handful of his hair, slowly leaning in and whispering menacingly, "And make sure everything is ready. Can I really do this?" The sky was covered in a tranquil black, dotted with twinkling stars. Lim S was now sitting alone and silent in front of his computer. His hands were clenched so tight they were shaking uncontrollably. "But if I don't do this..." Lim S slowly took one hand and gripped the other one that wouldn't stop shaking. He bit his lip, thinking to himself, then Jin Jae-hee will." Lim S just sat there silently in front of the bright computer screen. The scene changes to the outside of a high-rise apartment building. Dung Min-ho was writhing on his bed, gritting his teeth. "My stomach. Is this what it feels like for people who can't handle spicy food?" Sweat poured down his face, his teeth clenched so hard they felt like they would shatter. His stomach felt like it was on fire, and his whole body felt like it was about to break. "Just a small fight, and my shoulder already feels like it's going to pop out of its socket." Dung Min-ho ripped the shirt off his body and threw it aside. This pathetically weak body. He frantically started doing push-ups, hoping to ease the pain. He told himself, Ravis Vindica will never fall because of something like this. Then, Dung Min-ho frantically gritted his teeth and did sit-ups. "I will rebuild this trash body, no matter what it takes." His eyes rolled back as he roared with determination. "No pain will ever make me submit." The early morning sun shone on the clouds, creating a spectacular view. Outside a high school campus, inside a hallway, Lim S was standing there silently, looking down at the object in his hand. It was an incredibly outdated phone. Lim S looked at it anxiously, his grip tightening around it. This app, his eyes filled with apprehension. "It's too dangerous." An image of Jin Jae-hee's dark face flashed in his mind. "Make sure everything is ready." Lim S lowered his head, clutching the object in his hand. He squeezed his eyes shut and gritted his teeth, looking conflicted. "What should I do?" A hand suddenly landed on Lim S's shoulder, making him jump and cry out, "Hey, Lim S." Dung Min-ho shot a cold glance down at the person below him. "What's wrong? Why so jumpy?" Lim S glanced at him, a thought flashing through his mind. Maybe I should ask Dung Min-ho for help. Dung Min-ho's cold gaze remained fixed on him. Lim S gritted his teeth and dismissed the thought. No. He suddenly thought of Jin Jae-hee and the people involved with her. Even Dung Min-ho would be in danger if he got involved with Jin Jae-hee. Lim S kept his head down, biting his lip, not noticing Dung Min-ho beside him, looking at him with utter confusion. I can't let Dung Min-ho get dragged into this. A flash of long hair suddenly passed by, startling Dung Min-ho. Wait, this scent. A girl had tripped and was falling headfirst in front of them. I've smelled it somewhere before. Seeing this, Lim S yelled, "Sugi!" He rushed over to the girl's side. What happened? Are you okay? Wake up! Lim S quickly turned the girl over. Where are you hurt? Sugi's face was pale, and she seemed to have lost consciousness as she began to laugh manically. Seeing this, Lim S was so scared he immediately backed away. One of Dung Min-ho's eyes suddenly glowed red. Demonic energy. Why is it inside a human's body? A man rushed over frantically from a distance. Sugi, what's happening? The teacher quickly piggybacked Sugi and said worriedly, Wake up, let me take you to the nurse's office. The hair swept past again, startling Dung Min-ho. On Sugi's trembling arm, a jet-black sigil appeared. That sigil, he stared, his eyes widening in shock. The symbol of the Helga clan. On a human body? Dung Min-ho's red iris darted, following the figures as they disappeared into the distance. I need to confirm this. Night fell once again. At the city's main hospital, the sound of long strides echoed through the quiet hallway, startling a person sitting on a bench, who looked up. Seeing the person was about to open the hospital room door, a nearby female guard quickly spoke up to stop them. Wait. She looked at the young man wearing a hood that covered his face and asked politely, Are you Sugi's friend? She needs to rest, so you can't go in to see her. Hearing this, the young man immediately turned to face her, stunning her. Dung Min-ho activated his demonic power, one of his eyes glowing red. His voice carried an irresistible charm. Now, forget. The demonic energy immediately seeped into the guard's mind, paralyzing her. Her eyes rolled back, her pupils turning slightly red as her mind was manipulated by the demonic power. The female guard slowly sat back down in her original spot. She stared blankly ahead, not paying any attention to Dung Min-ho as he reached out and opened the door. He gently opened the door in front of him and glanced back at the guard. The demonic energy is faint, but at this level, I can still use it, though only temporarily. Dung Min-ho entered the room and closed the door with a click. Sugi, who was sitting on the bed, glanced at him, startled. She spoke unhappily as Dung Min-ho calmly walked closer. What? Who are you? He didn't answer her, instead asking coldly, Who are you? Really? Sugi glared at Dung Min-ho, completely annoyed. What the? Why'd you just barge in like that? His hand suddenly shot out and grabbed her arm. Sugi screamed in pain. Damn it, that hurts like hell. Dung Min-ho said nothing, just casting his gloomy gaze down at Sugi. He gripped her wrist tightly and held it up, revealing the mark on her hand. Why would a mere human bear the symbol of the Hitka clan? Sugi frowned, annoyed. What the hell are you talking about? Losing his patience, Dung Min-ho glared at her menacingly. Tell me the truth if you don't want to face even worse consequences. His red irises glowed in the darkness. What is your true identity? This scene scared Sugi out of her wits. Her eyes widened, and cold sweat started pouring down her face. Sugi trembled as she glanced at the demonic figure behind Dung Min-ho. A demon? Her whole body shook as she looked at the man before her and stammered out a reply. You mean? Dung Min-ho's patience ran out. He glared threateningly. Speak, now. Tears and snot streaming down her face, Sugi looked at him and answered. I really don't know anything. The scheming face of Jin Jae-hee once again appeared in her mind. He told me I had to get this tattoo if I wanted to join their gang, and he said he'd give me diet pills. Dung Min-ho glanced at the girl, trembling uncontrollably before him, and thought to himself, there's a very faint scent coming from her. His red irises turned icy cold. It's definitely the scent I've smelled before in the demon world. The torch on the wall had been extinguished at some point. Ravis. Two figures were silently walking down an endless corridor. One of them suddenly spoke up. Where are you going, my lord? Wanbei nervously glanced at the surroundings. That area is forbidden. Annoyed, Ravis turned his head to look at Wanbei, who flinched and quickly shut his mouth. He looked at him and gave a scornful smile. You cowardly Wanbei. Hearing this, Wanbei trembled with anger, but he couldn't talk back and had to swallow his rage. He suddenly shouted, I'm not scared. I just don't want to get punished. Ravis heard this and calmly said, Then leave. Wanbei looked at the arrogant young man before him and struggled to say, I don't want to. With your personality, if I leave you alone, you'll definitely cause trouble. He nervously glanced around. How much farther do we have to go? The two finally reached a pitch-black entrance. Wanbei glanced around and suddenly asked, Ravis Vindica, did you know? Ravis replied dismissively, Don't know a thing. Just spit it out. Wanbei put on a mysterious air, glancing around. Being in the dark reminds me of a story about those who possess eyes that surpass the limits of their species. Ravis Vindica, who was walking ahead, stopped and glanced back to listen. From what I know, there are two ways they can lose their sight. As Wanbei followed, he rambled on. 1. A light that's too bright blinds them. 2. They can't see anything, and their eyes gradually degenerate in a dark place like this. A sound from the person in front made him stop in his tracks and fall silent. Ravis quietly raised a hand to signal for silence, pressing himself to one side and peeking inside. Something's in here. Both of them tilted their heads, looking at a flower placed on a hand in the distance. Wanbi glanced over and asked in a small, trembling voice, "What is that?" Ravis bravely moved forward to get a closer look. Meanwhile, Wanbei, still terrified, frantically tried to stop him. "It's too dangerous!" A violet flower came into view. Both of them looked at the flowers below. Wanbi, trembling again, spoke up. "Isn't that Jeremy hit?" Ravis looked at the condition of the person on the ground and stated bluntly, "Look at his condition. He's already dead." Jeremy Hit's entire body had a bluish tint, and flowers were now sprouting all over his body. A curious hand reached out to touch a flower. "But what kind of flower is this? Don't touch it." But the hand forcefully plucked the flower from Jeremy Hit's body. Ravis held the flower up to his face, then pinched his nose in disgust. "This smell," Wanbi said, suddenly terrified. "This is?" He looked at the flower in his hand and exclaimed, "A flesh-eating flower, back in the present." Dung Min-ho's gaze remained cold as he looked down at the person below him. The smell is just like the flesh-eating flower. Seung-gi, like a madwoman now, could only clasp her hands together and beg through her tears, "Please, spare me." He silently watched her tremble with fear on the bed. Outside the window, a bat was hanging upside down from a tree, its red eyes fixed on Dung Min-ho. It stared intently at him. "Ravis Vindica, we meet at last." Its eyes suddenly turned incredibly eerie. "I have been eagerly awaiting this moment." The abandoned old factory appeared again. Dung Min-ho walked inside alone. He stood before a door and silently looked in. "This is Jin Jae-hee's tattoo shop." Dung Min-ho stared at the door in front of him. Could the Hitka symbol and the flesh-eating flower just be a coincidence? An image of an emergency exit sign appears. A group of people are swaggering down the hallway of a rundown apartment complex. Lim S. Why is Yimu so obsessed with that high school kid? He doesn't even need the kid. What he wants is the app the kid made. The blonde leader arrogantly spoke up. "So we're high-tech now, huh?" He gently squeezed the blue candy in his hand. "Huh? Blue ice? Yimu just developed that recently." Hearing this, a guy next to him snapped back irritably. "Use less of it, you psycho. Didn't you hear what happened to Do-seum yesterday? It's brand new, so the side effects are nasty." The two of them chatted happily as they walked. "Who gives a damn, as long as it gets you high, you psycho." On the blonde man's neck, a familiar mark was visible. Dung Min-ho shot a cold glance at the group. That smell again. And the Hitka symbol. The two guys continued to swagger down the hallway. Dung Min-ho suddenly appeared, blocking their path. "Did you guys also get these tattoos at Jin Jae-hee's place?" Seeing him, the blonde guy swaggered over. "Huh, who the hell is this?" He got in Dung Min-ho's face and taunted. "Hey, you a friend of Dae-hee's?" The blonde guy reached out to touch his face. "You should know your place." Dung Min-ho's red irises suddenly widened. He swatted the guy's hand away and, in a flash, delivered a hard slap that left his goons behind him too stunned to react. The guy was knocked to the ground, his cronies watching in horror. One of his buddies immediately shouted in anger, "You bastard, who sent you?" Dung Min-ho said nothing, just lunged forward with a clenched fist. He was punched so hard he coughed up blood and fell backward, completely caught off guard, while another one charged forward. "You psycho," he rushed at Dung Min-ho. "You want to die?" He threw an angry punch, but Dung Min-ho easily dodged it. Then, Dung Min-ho landed a solid punch right in the middle of the guy's face. The guy cried out in pain and collapsed. Seeing this, the last guy pulled out a knife and prepared to charge. The guy gripped his knife and charged straight at him. "Take this!" Dung Min-ho swiftly spun around and delivered a powerful spinning kick to the last man's neck, forcing him to drop the knife in his hand. After the fight, he just stared coldly at the group of men lying scattered on the ground. Dung Min-ho's voice was cold as he spoke. Seeing that the blonde-haired guy had managed to get back up, he yelled angrily, "Damn it, kill him now." The man's face twisted into a crazed expression. "I'm going to kill you." Seeing this, Dung Min-ho's eyes widened in surprise. What? Did his demonic energy just erupt? The man lunged at him like a rabid dog. As Dung Min-ho blocked the attack, he thought to himself, his movements have changed. Did the drug enhance his physical abilities? His red eyes widened as he cursed internally. Damn it. The night sky remained as quiet and still as ever. Jin Jae-hee stood before a person lying on a sofa and spoke up. "The app still isn't finished. I'm sorry." The man beside her chimed in. "I'm sure it won't be long this time." Wee Young-moo, lying on the couch, put a hand to his forehead and spoke with disgust. "I think I heard that same line last time. Besides." Jin Jae-hee glanced at the trembling man kneeling beside her. "We've caught the one who's been skimming from the blue ice supply." The man cried out in desperation. "Please spare me. I was wrong. Please. Just let me go." He looked at Wei Yang-moo and pleaded, "Please give me one more chance. I won't mess up again." Hua Yangmu didn't answer, only glancing at the blue roses on the table. Then he reached out and lifted the entire bouquet out of the vase. The flowers were lifted with incredible gentleness. The man on the floor was now trembling and weeping. He looked up and begged, "Please, I'm begging you, spare me." Then he shook his head frantically, resisting what he saw before him. "No, don't." Hua Yangmu held the bouquet in his hand and raised it high in front of the man. Then, he ruthlessly plunged the bouquet downwards, and a stream of red blood sprayed out. 2 of the roses were aimed directly at the man's eyes, as they were stabbed in. Jin Ye-hee, standing to the side, was too terrified to speak. The man was still trembling and begging, "Help, help me." Hua Yangmu raised the remaining rose stems high again, and a bloody scene immediately unfolded. The man's screams echoed throughout the room as he collapsed to the ground. Hua Yangmu looked at the corpse and said coldly, "That's right, there are no second chances here." He then turned to look at everyone else, causing their faces to turn pale. I trust that everyone understands that. Even Jin Ye-hee didn't dare to speak, her face ashen. "Right?" Hua Yangmu gave a cold, sharp command. "Ye-hee, stop making excuses. Bring it here," she replied in fear. "Yes, I understand." The night sky outside the abandoned building appeared once more. Jin Ye-hee was pacing back and forth anxiously. "Damn it. At this rate, I'm screwed." She grit her teeth in frustration and cursed. "Lim Seun, pick up the phone, you bastard." The phone buzzed incessantly. Lim S, sitting nearby, suddenly noticed it. He looked at the phone with concern and slowly reached out to pick it up. Lim S's voice was hesitant. "Hello?" By now, the blonde-haired guy had been beaten to a pulp. Dung Min-ho sat on top of him and calmly recounted, "I was originally planning to investigate this myself, but these little punks here wouldn't listen." Hearing this, Lim S was shocked. "Huh? What?" Dung Min-ho simply asked back coldly. "You know Jin Ye-hee, don't you?" Dung Min-ho spoke flatly into the phone. "You were the one who answered Jin Ye-hee's phone back then, right?" On the other end of the line, Lim S asked in surprise. "What? Jin Ye-hee? Why are you?" He stood up, the thugs lying all over the ground behind him, and said nonchalantly, "Her name was right there on the screen. Do you know where she lives?" Lim S pressed him. "How do you know Jin Ye-hee? Don't tell me those people already found you." Dung Min-ho quickly denied it. "No, it's not like that." He explained as he walked, "I'm the one who went looking for her." "There's something I need to confirm," his friend asked worriedly. "You went looking for her yourself? Where are you now?" He replied flatly, "At Jin Ye-hee's tattoo parlor, but she's not here." Suddenly, something caught his attention. At the top of the stairs, a white cat was standing there. It froze when it met Dung Min-ho's gaze. On the other end, a worried Lim S was hastily putting on a jacket to go to him. "Dung Min-ho, whatever you do, don't get involved with her." "I'm on my way to you right now," he asked in surprise. "Huh?" Dung Min-ho hung up and glanced at the cat. The white cat was now pretending to play with its golden bell. The cat's whole body was trembling. He approached it. "Hey, you furball, that's right, I'm talking to you." Then he walked over, scooped it up, and held it up to face him. He asked, "You understand what I'm saying, don't you?" The white cat feigned a few meows. He glared at it intently. "Make me understand you." He scared it so much it started to tremble. Then it yelled, "Yes, sir." Dung Min-ho crossed his arms and questioned it. Last time it was a rat, yesterday a bat, and today a cat. He demanded angrily, "What in the world are you?" "I am." At that moment, she finally revealed her identity. "I am a supervisor sent from the demon world to the human world. My mission is to monitor convicts without being detected," Stit explained, waving her arms and legs around. "That's why I was observing you secretly." "Sir." Ravis Vindica. She looked at Dung Min-ho and thought to herself, "His demonic energy is so weak. Is he really a demon?" Stit asked, puzzled. "But I don't understand how you were able to detect me." "Sir Ravis Vindica," he answered flatly. "Because you're too conspicuous," Dung Min-ho pointed out, "and you were also standing on 2 legs. She suddenly remembered and panicked. "Oh, crap!" He looked up, figuring there was no point in asking more. His red eye gazed at Stit. "Master of this creature, reveal yourself." Instantly, her eyes shot wide open. On the other side, Wanbei was sitting at his desk. He chuckled to himself. "Faster than I thought." He mocked. "Ravis Vindica sure figured it out fast, huh?" Dung Min-ho was annoyed. "Wanbei, is this your doing again? You bastard." Wanbei continued to tease him. "Calling your friend a bastard? That's so cold." Dung Min-ho demanded, "Wanbei, what are you plotting this time?" He leaned back lazily in his chair. "Me? Plotting? I haven't done a thing." He sighed. "Forget it. There's something I need to ask." The scene shifted back to him and Stit. "Everything is completely different from what I remember. Can ordinary convicts use demonic power in the human world?" She thought for a moment. "Demonic power? Well, every rule has its exceptions." Wanbei's voice answered vaguely. "You'll figure it out on your own soon enough. Anything else you want to ask?" Dung Min-ho added, the flesh-eating flower. Its scent is very strong in this world, he asked Wonbi. Since you've smelled it before, you must know it's a forbidden flower, even in the demon world, yet I can sense it here. He rested his chin on his hand, thinking, the demon world's management already knows that the Void Clan's influence has reached the human world. They're a persistent bunch, so we can't say they've been completely wiped out. Dung Min-ho looked up and added, so it really is the Hu clan again? You mean their remnants are in the human world? Wanbei gently stroked his hair. Ravis Vindica, he explained. The human world isn't what it used to be. It's a playground for all sorts of schemes. Wanbi clasped his hands together. This actually works in our favor. You're already there, so why not just wipe them out while you're at it? He was completely shocked. What? Wipe them all out? What the hell are you talking about? Dung Min-ho pressed on. Hey, Wanbei, tell me clearly what else is going on. Suddenly, the cat meowed again. He glared at the cat, annoyed, and muttered a curse under his breath. Damn it, night fell. In a corner of the city, Jin Jae-hee was angrily glued to her phone. He's not picking up. There's not much time left. She screamed in anger. That damn Lim S. Has he lost his mind? Why isn't he answering his phone? Jin Jae-hee furiously tapped her phone. So annoying, she muttered, cursing Lim S. You're so dead. Then she called someone else. Just then, Wee Young-moo, who was outside a PC Bang, got the call. Jin Jae-hee, what's up? On the other end, she yelled. Sejun, get to the office now. On her end, Jin Jae-hee clenched her fist in anger. We're going to catch that bastard Lim S. The sky was filled with clouds today. Dung Min-ho spoke up. Since you're a supervisor, you must know a lot about the human world, right? Stit broke into a sweat. I suppose so. Because I have to rotate supervising the prisoners, I get regular updates on basic information, and my tracking abilities are decent. Dung Min-ho said, return to your original form. She was taken aback and asked, yes, wait, what? He immediately gave her a threatening look. Want me to help you? She quickly refused. No, sir. Then, she clasped her hands together, emitting a pink light that was incredibly blinding to him. Stit transformed into a cute little girl with sea blue hair. Her feet slowly landed on the ground as she walked up to him. She looks so weak, Dung Min-ho thought as he looked at her. But Wanbei must have had a reason for sending you. He asked, what's your name? She lowered her head sadly. I don't have a name. His face was emotionless. Stit, that's your name now, because I picked you up off the street. Never forget where you came from. Her eyes widened with joy. Stit, my name. She moved closer to him and said happily, I understand, Sir Ravis Vindica. Thank you so much for giving me a name. He added, now, tell me everything you know about the human world. Stit obediently replied, yes, sir. Outside the city, Lim S was running through the streets, drenched in sweat. Dung Min-ho is in danger. I should have refused until the very end. He remembered holding a bouquet of flowers and a trophy. He thought to himself, I can't believe I actually won. Suddenly, someone called his name. It was Jin Jae-hee, standing in the middle of a group of thugs. You're the developer who won the award, right? She added. I heard the prize money was only 50 million. Jin Jae-hee's eyes crinkled into a smile. You're a valuable asset now. Throw him in the car. Now. Lim S's face was filled with panic. His scream echoed as the bouquet fell to the ground. Lim S was captured and thrown into the car, with a few people standing guard outside. Young-moo, sitting in the back, spoke up. What are you trembling for? This is just a business transaction. Look beside you. Next to him was a suitcase filled with 50 million in cash. Hand over the app you made. Even though he was terrified, he still refused. I didn't make this to sell it. Young-moo stared out the car window without saying a word. A moment later, he finally spoke. That's just what you think. Lim S trembled, sweat pouring down his face. Back in the present, he was running as fast as he could down the street. He thought to himself, I have to get there fast. I can't let him meet Jin Jae-hee. Suddenly, he bumped into someone. Lim S panicked. I'm sorry. Suddenly, his eyes widened. Wai Young-moo had his hands in his pockets. Look at this. Fresh prey, served right up to us. Lim S stood beside him, absolutely terrified. Jin Jae-hee spoke up from behind. Lim S. She gave him a strange look. You're finished this time, kid. He was terrified, wasn't he? Lim S's terrified scream echoed through the dark night. Jin Jae-hee looked down from above and ordered, from now on, your only job is to manage this app. If you don't want to be locked up for the rest of your life, you'd better do it properly. Lim S shot up in a panic. Wait, hold on. Even though he was begging, she ignored him and left. We'll be watching your every move from the outside, so don't try any stupid tricks. Lim S slumped to the floor, staring at the closed door. No. He gritted his teeth and shut his eyes tightly. It's all over. Wee Young-moo stood outside the door with his arms crossed, looking in. He asked doubtfully, is that guy really a programmer? He looks so green. The woman beside him was also a bit skeptical, but relayed the message anyway. They said we need him if we want to distribute blue ice. The man asked nonchalantly. The app he made is called YMH? What does that have to do with distribution? Lim S got smacked on the head by the guards for not working. He was on the verge of tears but didn't dare to cry, so he just obediently complied. Meanwhile, the people outside didn't care and just gossiped. Even the name sounds like trash. The app's interface appeared on the screen, showing illustrations for male and female genders. Young Moo walked over from a distance to check on the situation. Is everything ready? He looked through the transparent glass, observing the inside. The thing Lim S created is the core of the Blue Ice project. As long as we get our hands on the buyer's data, we'll be able to manipulate the market however we want. Their eyes were filled with ambition. He briefly explained the app's capabilities. The real-time location sharing feature in YMH will be our main weapon for expanding the business. Young Moo crossed his arms and smiled brightly. So, are we finally starting to sell blue ice? Boss. Young Moo lowered his gaze to his hands, fiddling with a blue candy. He replied in a dark tone, that's right, blue ice. He gave a wicked grin and imagined the future. It's time to show the whole world. Afterward, things started getting chaotic at school. Hey, Choi Yuri, sign up for this and add me as a friend. What is it? The student showed her the app on her screen. You get cash back if you accept friend invites. 30,000 per person. Hearing about the money, the girls' eyes lit up. They were all excited, ignoring the potential dangers. Oh my god, for real? If I add 3 people, I get a whole 100,000? That's crazy. I want in. Hey, Bach, hi Emin, come over here quick and add me too. Some were still hesitant to join in. What's this for, anyway? But her question was met with anger. Just do what you're told. This girl. The 3 of them huddled together to see the fun. Look, there's a sign-up event too. On the screen were words designed to attract teenage girls. Diet pills. YMH Blue Ice sign-up event. Just sign up and get a free Blue Ice diet product. This is a dietary supplement certified by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. Blue Ice, huh? Even the name is pretty. Oh my god. Over on her end, Jin Ye-hee couldn't believe what was happening. How did the user count jump so high in just one day? She stared at her phone and laughed gleefully. This is insane. Seeing this, Boss Jung took out his phone to look too. What a boss. But while Young Moo was soaking in the good news, Jin Ye-hee suddenly shot up and asked irritably, by the way, have you caught that bastard who trashed my store yet? The men cleaning up the aftermath cautiously reported back. Actually, we've already checked the cameras. But she pouted, doubting them. A bat? Why the hell would a bat be there? So, they took her to the security room. Take a look at this. On the screen was a massive bat, perched right on the camera. Is that thing staring straight at the camera? Jin Ye-hee asked irritably. What about the other cameras? The employee awkwardly pulled up the other feeds for her. First a crow, then a rat, each taking turns to block the view, driving her insane. That damned rat. Jin Ye-hee scowled and shrieked. What the hell is this? Suddenly, Young Moo's phone buzzed. He opened it and saw a message, then called out, Miss Ye-hee. She angrily turned her head and snapped, What is it? His words made Jin Ye-hee freeze, her anger from moments ago forgotten. Let's go. I heard the blue ribbon just arrived. As evening fell, the sun began to set. Dung Min-ho coughed, staring down at the ground. He asked helplessly, Hey, Stit, what are you doing down there? She quickly shifted into her human form and explained, Lord Ravis Vindica, I've put on a little weight lately. He didn't care and cut straight to the chase. What about the investigation I gave you yesterday? Stit blurted out excitedly. It definitely wasn't easy. But I finally found it. Dung Min-ho, used to her antics, just replied indifferently, Is that so? Just then, he had knocked out a guy who was carrying the blue ribbons. Dung Min-ho bent down and picked them up. He carefully brought them to his nose for a sniff. Just as I thought. The smell of a flesh flower. He glanced down at the blonde-haired man whose nose he had smashed. So, this is what they're using for awakenings. Dung Min-ho frowned, deep in thought. But you can't cultivate flesh flowers without a host. How did they get their hands on a flower that was eradicated even in the demon realm? Stit began rattling off all the information she had uncovered. The candy you asked me to investigate is called Blue Ribbon. It's spreading rapidly in the human world, disguised as things like diet pills and supplements. He pressed on. And the ingredients? She glanced nervously at his face and reported carefully. Because Blue Ribbon is produced in extreme secrecy, it's very difficult to trace the source of its ingredients. Dung Min-ho's face contorted with rage as he looked at her. What? So you're telling me you found nothing useful? Stit was too terrified to move. No, that's not it, she explained, her voice trembling. The finished product is being distributed at an incredible speed and in huge quantities. We just need to follow the traces of concentrated demonic energy to find the production site. He stepped forward, poking her forehead as he questioned her. Then why haven't you gone there already? Stit didn't dare argue. She just told the truth. That's because Lord Wanbei told me to go with you, Ravis Vindica. Hearing that name made him frown in irritation. What? Wanbei? You report everything to him? She held her forehead, which was now red from his poking, and stammered pleadingly. I'm sorry, Lord Ravis Vindica. I'm just a lowly creature. I have to obey both of you. Dung Min-ho put his hands in his pockets and asked seriously, Stit, choose right now. Me, or Wanbei. Who is your true master? She stammered, tears welling in her eyes. I. At that moment, he was like a devil, tempting her to his side. If you choose me, I'll make sure you're no longer just a lowly creature. Stit imagined herself becoming a noble lady, fanning herself and laughing boisterously. And so, she prostrated herself before him. I pledge my flesh and blood to you, my lord. Dung Min-ho smirked victoriously. Good. I, Ravis Vindica, will accept you as my personal subordinate. She opened her eyes and looked at him as her one true master. After those words, the thought of Wanbei was banished from her mind. He curled his lip in a sneer. Get lost, Wanbei. Now, let's head to where the blue ribbon is gathered. She immediately replied, Yes, sir. From dusk until it was completely dark, she led Dung Min-ho to a desolate area filled with large shipping containers. Stit ran up to a red one and said, It's here. This is where the demonic energy from Blue Ribbon is most concentrated. He followed and ordered her, Let's open one and see. She hesitated, seeing the thick chains wrapped around the container. But when it came to the lock, Dung Min-ho didn't bother with words. Stand back. He threw a punch, and with a single blow, the dozens of chains shattered. The lock was broken, and the doors swung open. Stit sniffed the air to see if anything was amiss. Both of them immediately covered their noses and staggered back, hit by a stench that made them gag. They looked at the cardboard boxes piled up inside. The sight was indescribably horrifying. Stit frowned in disbelief. This is all. Dung Min-ho was just as shocked. Blue Ribbon. The two looked around as Baka's laughter echoed across the entire mountain. He was relentlessly beating a younger Ravis, criticizing him with every blow. All Ravis could do was raise his arms to defend himself. My cute and arrogant nephew, Ravis Vindica, you're still as pathetic as ever. Ravis's arms were swelling from the repeated blows, yet he couldn't land a single counterattack. Back then, Ravis was still just a boy, so his arrogance was to be expected. What a terrifying, crude old man, he thought. Baka then pulled back, gathering all his strength for one final strike. If you're just going to exist to be cute, then you should just die. Ravis's eyes shot open as he raised his arms to block. The moment the punch connected, his face went pale from the horrific impact. But even so, Ravis refused to surrender and held his ground. Seeing his nephew's determination, he gave a satisfied smile. However, the end result was still Basa punching Ravis clean off the side of the cliff. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the air. Seeing himself plummeting from 1,000 meters up, he shouted a curse. You damn uncle. Standing at the edge of the cliff, his uncle looked down and roared with laughter. You really gonna die just like that? Then, Baka also leaped down after him. Ravis landed hard, trembling and speechless with pain. His uncle, on the other hand, landed lightly and didn't forget to check on him. Not dead yet? Ravis Vindica pouted in anger. But then something else caught both of their attention. In the distance, Basia saw many flowers sprouting. Flesh flowers. So they're here. Ravis shot up, his eyes wide as he stared at them, his expression shifting from surprise to horror. When darkness and light were first separated, no creature could exist on the opposing side. But other entities were born that could not be absorbed by either. At some point in time, the ancients gathered to look down upon those strange forms. The first flowers bloomed where they converged. They scratched their heads, wondering how flowers could sprout from a human body. Moreover, the corpse looked as if it had been completely drained of its soul, and the purpose of their existence was to destroy the world, devouring both fallen angels and corrupt demons. A flower with a beautiful appearance, but a terrifying, soul-chilling nature. The uncle and nephew stood before a blazing fire. Baka crossed his arms and smiled, while Dung Min-ho stared ahead grimly. Covering his nose, Dung Min-ho mumbled, They should have all been burned back then. Stit, standing beside him, agreed. I feel the same way, Demon King. But why are there so many? I wonder how many boxes of that flower are in there. He turned and asked her, Those flowers grow in the human world. Did you know that? Stit was startled, not knowing what was going on. This is an intermediate place, a mix of both darkness and light. The human world doesn't belong to any side and can travel anywhere. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. According to human history, I know that mankind dealt with them 1,000 years ago. But as he said this, Dung Min-ho's eyes narrowed, and he glanced behind him. If they're appearing in both worlds at the same time, then someone must have had a hand in it. She frowned, nodded, and followed his gaze. Indeed, someone was there. A man turned on a flashlight, its beam shining on the two of them, forcing her to shut her eyes in discomfort. From a distance, a group of people approached, and the one holding the light pointed angrily. "How dare you come here? Do you know where you are?" Then, someone recognized Stit and quickly reported to Jin Jae-hee. "Damn it. Jin Jae-hee. That bitch. That bitch." She came to the tattoo shop. Stit recognized her too, and pointed her out to Dung Min-ho. "That's Jin Jae-hee, Lord Ravis Vindica." He frowned and questioned them in a loud voice. "How dare you break into my tattoo shop? And how did you even find this place?" He didn't care about the tattoo shop. He only asked about what was in the cardboard boxes. "Jin Jae-hee, are you in charge of this merchandise?" She cursed at him rudely. "What's this idiot talking about? And so what if I am?" Dung Min-ho pressed on. "Do you know what its original ingredient is?" Jin Jae-hee burst out laughing at his question. "Original ingredient? Are you trying to steal my business secrets now?" He sighed, looking exasperated. "It's not my business, but..." His eyes suddenly turned serious. Letting this go would be irritating. She shoved her hand into her pocket to pull something out, not forgetting to swear under her breath. "You son of a bitch. You know what happens if you cause trouble in front of Yang Mo again, don't you?" She pulled out a handful of blue ribbons for her subordinates. "Look here." It was a special gift that made them stare with craving. One of them, in disbelief, even asked again, This, are you really giving this to us?" Jin Jae-hee smirked and ordered, "Shut up and eat." The entire space fell silent, with only the sound of the four men chewing and swallowing. Dung Min-ho then gave Stit an order. "Stit, with your current level of demonic energy, you'll just be a burden. Find a place to hide." She quickly found a place to take cover. Oh, Demon King. After they finished eating, the men suddenly transformed into different beings. Their eyes were vacant, and they wore bizarre smiles, as if they wanted to eat him alive. Jin Jae-hee didn't have to do a thing, she just pointed at him and gave the order. "Teach that punk a lesson." They moved like lightning, vanishing from where they stood. Candy wrappers littered the ground. They charged forward like madmen, thinking they had the advantage in numbers. Dung Min-ho let out a mocking laugh. Arrogant fools, drowning in their own delusions. Not only was he unafraid, but he even taunted them loudly. "Come and get it." The demonic energy here was incredibly abundant and rich. The brown-haired man charged in first, but he dodged it and quickly ducked down, taking him out with a single punch. The man behind him rushed forward, screaming. In response, he got a kick to the neck, so painful he started foaming at the mouth. The last one tried to use the blind spot to play dirty, but Dung Min-ho saw everything. Not only that, his reflexes were lightning fast. The guy didn't even have a chance to stab with his knife before his movements were read completely. An uppercut sent him collapsing to the ground. Suddenly, Dung Min-ho spun around. The brown-haired man recklessly lunged forward and grabbed him in a bear hug. He gritted his teeth and cursed. "This bastard," the man screamed, ignoring the punch that sent blood gushing from his nose. Dung Min-ho was thrown to the ground. The big guy from behind quickly rushed in. He intended to slam him with his massive knee, but he was faster, bringing his hands together in a perfect defense. Hiding behind a cardboard box, Stit peeked out worriedly. "Lord Ravis Vindica." Jin Jae-hee flashed the smile of a victor. The whole gang, as if high on drugs, rained down a flurry of punches. Dung Min-ho could only defend himself with his bare hands. He gritted his teeth, observing. Their physical strength is incredible. Is it because they ate more than last time? If that was the case. His eyes darted to the right. Seeing him dash towards the red container, they chased after him. Dung Min-ho punched straight through a paper bag with his bare hand and pulled out another purple bag from inside. Right before they could grab him, he spun and threw the purple bag out. The four men who were charging forward were stopped in their tracks by the cloud of dust. They gasped for air, in agony, as if they were about to die. He gritted his teeth, muttering to himself, "I hate this low-grade stimulant." But demonic energy was surging through him, more intense than before. Dung Min-ho himself had inhaled the so-called blue ribbon. One of them couldn't take it and covered his mouth, about to dry heave, but before he could do anything, he was grabbed by the face and shoved back. He cried out in pain as he was pinned to the ground and beaten. Like a crazed demon, Dung Min-ho swung his fists one punch, then two, making the brown-haired man spit blood and fall unconscious. Someone tried to attack him from behind, but he easily dodged. Next, he grabbed another's leg and executed a takedown, giving his opponent no time to react. It wasn't over. He held the man's leg down, intending to stomp on it. The man's foot was ruined. He screamed in pain, but it was useless. The big guy, unafraid, still charged in, yelling, "Die!" But with just one hand, Dung Min-ho easily punched him so hard his face distorted. The man staggered and collapsed to the ground. He quickly got behind him and lifted him up. His eyes were unfocused. All he knew was to attack. Such a small body, yet he was wrestling with the big guy, pinning him to the ground. Jin Jae-hee backed away in fear. What the hell is happening? How can he take them all on? After finishing off the four men, Dung Min-ho slowly raised his head. She looked like she had seen a demon. her face pale. His gaze was now that of a monster that wanted to eat her alive. Jin Jae-hee shivered with fear. He's a monster. How is that possible? His blood-red eyes were staring intently at her. At another performance, a young girl in a ballet dress stood on stage. Below, the audience was packed with people watching. Kang Hyun-ju took deep breaths to calm herself as her mother's voice echoed from inside the room. That's right. That's my daughter, Kang Hyun-ju. She looked up at the screen showing her daughter's performance, boasting endlessly about her talent as she watched. With her skill level, my daughter could easily join the Venus Ballet Company. Yang Mo walked in without asking for permission. There you are, our VIP customer. She angrily questioned him. Who are you? How dare you lowlifes come in here? Do you have any idea where you are? He replied with a disdainful laugh. Lowlifes? Excuse me. We received a very large order for blue ribbons, so we came to deliver it personally. She looked with a start at the blue vial. What? Her eyes widened in disbelief. Yang Mo calmly sat down. Why do you look so tense? We've taken care of everything from production to delivery, so you don't need to worry. She hesitated, probing. It doesn't have any side effects, does it? He shot her a look full of contempt. You're only asking now? Wee Young-moo glanced at the screen where Kang Hyun-ju was performing. He had already given the girl a massive dose of pills before sending her on stage. At that moment, her expression suddenly changed, and her graceful dance steps turned into a frantic series of spins. Her mother's eyes widened in disbelief. Wait! Blood vessels burst across her eyes, and she began to foam at the mouth, barely conscious. She raised her fingers, but they were stiff and rigid. Wei Young-moo feigned surprise, exclaiming, Oh dear, the side effects are kicking in faster than expected. How many pills did you give her? Kang Hyun-ju was now nothing more than a puppet controlled by that drug. Her mother shot up in alarm, screaming, but her voice couldn't reach her daughter. Uriah stopped. On stage, Kang Hyun-ju was spinning beautifully, but also dangerously fast. And just like that, she collapsed onto the floor. The audience gasped and screamed. The whole venue was in an uproar, with people jumping out of their seats. What's happening? Why did she fall? Her mother rushed onto the stage to check on her. She covered her mouth in disbelief, her eyes welling up with tears of regret, but it was too late. She then turned and unleashed her fury on Wee Young-moo. You bastard! You said there were no side effects. He shamelessly shifted the blame back to her. That only applies if you use the correct dosage. In any case, your daughter is beyond saving. Kang Hyun-ju's body was covered in bulging veins, her eyes wide as she convulsed, on the verge of death. He continued to brainwash the mother, telling her that the girl would only live if she met his demands and satisfied her addiction with his drugs. Wee Young-moo went from being a mere dealer to someone with power over her. Now, her daughter wouldn't be able to live without blue ice for the rest of her life. Like one of our VIP clients, the mother clutched her head and screamed, trying to escape the responsibility and consequences of her actions. No. Do you have any idea how much I've invested in her? He just smirked, reveling in her suffering. Suddenly, the phone in his pocket rang. He took it out and saw it was Jin Jae-hee calling. Instead of answering right away, Wee Young-moo paused for a few seconds, as if he saw something strange. What the hell? On the screen was a terrified Jin Jae-hee. I'm sorry, Mr. Wee Young-moo. Dung Min-ho pushed her head aside and stared directly into the camera, asking, Are you the one who produces blue ice? Wee Young-moo's eyes widened in shock. Seeing your reaction, I can guess I'm right. You're Stit, aren't you? Come here. Wee Young-moo immediately hung up, his voice dark and menacing, sounding less like a request and more like a command. Dear customer, we have urgent business to attend to. That evening, at a spot with several cardboard boxes, a fight had just taken place. Stit curiously looked at the bodies scattered on the ground. Why do humans like getting high so much? Dung Min-ho answered bluntly, because they're ignorant and arrogant. He looked at the blue pill in his hand and scoffed. Even when they're doing drugs, they arrogantly believe they won't get addicted. They don't believe in anything, just temporarily clinging to petty pleasures. Stit jumped and pointed behind him. Sir Ravis Vindica is over there. Jin Jae-hee's face lit up as if she'd seen her savior. Mr. Wee Young-moo, he approached with a few of his men. Was the incident at the tattoo parlor you're doing too? He tilted his chin up defiantly, asking, Were you looking for me? Dung Min-ho coolly pointed toward a cardboard box. I'm not interested in a guy like you. Where did you get that stuff? Then he narrowed his eyes, looking at him with suspicion. That would be a bit difficult for a normal person. Wee Young-moo froze, unable to believe what he was hearing. What does he mean, normal person? The way he looked at Dung Min-ho began to change. Don't tell me this brat is. In the past, vials of narcotics lay scattered on the ground. What's wrong? Did the old man pass out? He kicked the frail man as he ordered, Give me more drugs. The more he kicked, the angrier he got. What old man bullshit. He saw the man was already foaming at the mouth, long dead. Wei Young-moo couldn't believe his eyes. He's dead? He took out his drug-fueled rage on his own father. Damn it. Lived his whole life high, and now he dies from an overdose. He let out an exhausted sigh. If he's dead, how am I supposed to get my drugs now? After saying that, Wei Young-moo mercilessly stomped on the corpse. He kicked and cursed to vent his frustration. How? How am I supposed to get it now? Suddenly, the old man's eyes glowed brightly. Wei Young-moo jumped back, startled. Old man? I thought you were a goner. The old man didn't answer but slowly sat up. What responded wasn't a person, but the soul of a demon. Are you sad that he's dead? Wei Young-moo wasn't afraid. He just glared back and asked, What the hell are you? It didn't answer. It just continued. If you are sad, I will return him to you. Wei Young-moo laughed as if he'd just heard the funniest joke, clutching his chest. Sad? The old bastard is finally gone. Why would I be sad? He screamed in a frenzy. I don't need a garbage father. I just need my drugs. Drugs? The phantom replied coldly. Is that so? It held out a flower to him and commanded, Then feed this flesh flower with his body. The ghost continued to sweet-talk him. Trust will be built between us, and you will have what you desire. Wei Young-moo took the flower and looked at the flesh flower with suspicion. If anyone appears to renounce your loyalty and discard the flesh flower, eliminate them. My faith will protect you. His addict's eyes slowly transformed, becoming demonic. The beautiful flower in his hand seemed like an immense treasure. Wei Young-moo broke into a vicious smile. Without hesitation, he shoved the flower into his father's corpse, causing fresh blood to splatter everywhere. Back in the present, Wei Young-moo stared at Dung Min-ho and repeated, You said I'm just a normal person? Dung Min-ho seemed to understand. It seems you've put your faith in something. Wei Young-moo didn't hide it. Instead, he sounded grateful. That's right. He gave me a new life. Everything was happening just as Dung Min-ho had thought, just as he expected. He's made a pact with a demon. He tilted his head and cracked his knuckles. I don't know what kind of garbage you put your faith in, but both you and that bastard are pathetic. Wei Young-moo's eyes widened in anger. How dare you insult him? He ordered the two men behind him to attack. Get him. Stit panicked and quickly found a place to hide. Again? Dung Min-ho, however, only needed a few seconds. This is starting to get boring. Let's end this quick. After that, various screams of pain echoed throughout the area. An ambulance sped down the road. When we launched Y Media, the number of orders just exploded. Blue ice was sweeping through every corner. Inside the ambulance, the mother clutched a vial of the drug, watching her daughter receive emergency treatment, her life hanging in the balance. Outside, schoolgirls were opening the app's interface. Expanding our VIP clients nationwide won't be a problem anymore, right? A girl happily accepted a vial, completely unaware of the hidden risks. Damn, are we going to become a global enterprise? Someone who had taken the drug was lying on the floor, convulsing like an addict. Wei Young-moo's crew looked at their results with glee. I think Mr. Wei Young-moo has already started taking over the Chinese and Japanese markets. With Mr. Wei Young-moo, it's not impossible. Lim S sat there in stunned silence, not knowing what to say. He anxiously bit his nails, blaming himself. Because of what he'd done, the drug was spreading too fast. His face crumpled, on the verge of tears, as he prayed over and over again. Somebody, please make it stop. On the other side of the room, the two bodyguards were quickly taken down. Tied up and forced to his knees, Jin Tae-hee screamed, Look, Wei Young-moo, that thing isn't human anymore. Dung Min-ho sighed as he looked at him. Why don't you come over here? Wei Young-moo remained silent. He remembered the words the Phantom had once told him. If anyone appears to renounce your loyalty and discard the true flower, eliminate them. He took out 3 pill-like candies. Wei Young-moo tossed the drug into his mouth and chewed ravenously. As you command. Lord Bavir. The girl sitting next to him shrieked. Why Wei Young-moo? I don't think he's just some high school kid. He could be the one creating that new drug. Dung Min-ho raised an eyebrow. What? A new drug? Me? Lost in thought, he suddenly froze, realizing the man was right behind him. With a quick glance back, Dung Min-ho expertly blocked the incoming punch. Wei Young-moo wasn't slow either and immediately countered. Dung Min-ho threw up his arm as a shield. He's too fast. On a completely different level from those other guys. As if reading his mind, the man sneered. How can you block my punches? Did you receive his grace's blessing too? He declared coldly, He is my God, and mine alone. A look of understanding dawned on Dung Min-ho's face. So that explains the true flower, and this disgusting stench. The God you worship. The one pulling the strings. His name is Bavir, isn't it? The words hit their mark, stunning the man. What? How dare you speak his grace's name? Dung Min-ho taunted him. He chose a failure like you, someone who trusts no one. Wei Young-moo flew into a rage. Don't you dare insult the one who saved me. Dung Min-ho acted unfazed. Oh, that's right. He saved you. You must have been pretty pathetic, hiding and cowering when he called out to you. Saliva flying from his mouth, he roared, Shut up. He is not someone for the likes of you to ridicule. In the next instant, a flurry of punches rained down, but Dung Min-ho blocked every single one. A murderous glint flashed in Dung Min-ho's resolute eyes. Bavir. He really has come to this world. In the demon realm, piles of undead corpses were stacked high. Ravis was on a rampage. Cowards, a figure, hiding in a corner, trembled in fear at his taunts. All you know is how to run. His gaze swept across them, devoid of any warmth. Back in the human world, Dung Min-ho was done taking a beating. He was treated like a king there. Bavir, you bastard, where are you hiding? Meanwhile, Wee Young Mu, still oblivious to the danger, remained defiant. You son of a bitch, you will not speak of Lord Bavir, he roared, his body beginning to glow with a strange light as he transformed. Dung Min-ho quickly covered his nose against the stench. This foul stench. Wee Young Mu kept muttering, anyone who insults Lord Bavir will be dealt with by my own hands. He lunged forward, grabbing Dung Min-ho and landing a brutal kick to his gut. As Dung Min-ho stumbled into him, he grabbed his shirt, yanked him up, and, without a moment's hesitation, slammed him back down onto the ground. Dung Min-ho gritted his teeth in pain as Wee Young Mu rained down a frenzy of punches on his face. He screamed as he struck, "The Blue Ribbon and Lord Bavir!" When it came to the supreme beings he worshipped, he would show no mercy. They're all mine. Dung Min-ho gritted his teeth, struggling to block the blows. This bastard, he's consumed so much demonic power, he's lost his mind. He's really trying to kill me. Wee Young Mu suddenly roared, winding up for a final blow. But Dung Min-ho flared up in response. Trembling in a corner, Stit prayed silently. Lord Ravis Vindica, seeing him lying there taking the abuse, she couldn't stop worrying. He's reached the limit of that mortal body, Stit thought to herself. If this were the demon realm, he could actually use his demonic power, she speculated. Wanbi had also noticed. It seems the test subject for the true flower has gone completely berserk. I would have thought that with the demon bloodstone, Ravis Vindica could easily control the subject, even in a human body. He predicted that this time, he might actually die, his soul dissipating forever. Baka asked Wanbei, do you know what Ravis Vindica hates most of all? Wanbei looked confused. Hates? Baka explained. He hates almost everything. It's hard to just pick one thing. Wanbi nodded in understanding and let out a sigh. He's got a bit of a short fuse, doesn't he? I wonder where he gets that from. Honestly, Baka shot back. Don't you get sarcastic with me. I know exactly what you're doing. Busted. Wanbi turned away. Noticing his confusion, Baka chuckled softly. He has an obsession with cleanliness, or rather, a hatred for filth. Back in the fight, the one-sided assault continued, but just before the next blow landed, Dung Min-ho's hand shot up and caught it. Filthy. Wee Young Mu froze for a second, stunned that his punch had been caught. What? Dung Min-ho yelled. I can't take it anymore. The rotten stench coming off of you. He tightened his grip on the man's fist. The man yelped in pain, pulling his hand back. As Dung Min-ho slowly got to his feet, Wee Young Mu was forced to take a step back. What the hell? Dung Min-ho looked at his own hand in disbelief. Just my left hand. A current seemed to jolt through him. It feels like I'm using the hand of my true body. Dung Min-ho looked at him calmly, while Wee Young Mu's face was still contorted with rage. A flame enveloped one of Dung Min-ho's hands. I don't want to touch your disgusting body, but since I'm not holding back anymore, let's end this quickly. A massive punch landed squarely on the man's face. Wee Young Mu was incredulous. What? How does a punk like him have this kind of power? Stit was overjoyed. Ravis Vindica. Dung Min-ho looked on, unfazed. A punk, you say? Before the man could even recover, another blow sent him reeling backward. The girl who was with him collapsed, scrambling away in fear. He had finally realized the danger he was in. What the hell are you? Dung Min-ho warned him. Stop running that filthy mouth of yours. Another agonizing punch landed. Below, Wanbei was stunned. He's suddenly so powerful, Baka explained. Ravis Vindica. It seems the stench released by the awakened test subject was too much for him. His hardened expression is proof enough. It must have been incredibly difficult for him to even get close, because Ravis Vindica despises filth above all else. He leaned back and sneered. When overcome by a deep-seated revulsion, his body automatically awakens, allowing him to borrow a fraction of his true power. Wanbei's voice trembled. Yuzra saying, he can use his power even inside a human body? Wanbei's eyes widened in realization. Even with the demon bloodstone, that should be impossible for a sinner's body to wield the power of the demon realm. Baka had known from the very beginning that Ravis Vindica was no ordinary being. He declared with absolute confidence, no matter what anyone says, Ravis Vindica is my heir. Over here, Wee Young Mu was getting beaten to a pulp. Dung Min-ho strode over aggressively and warned, you idiot, you should consider yourself lucky. He looked at the man and coldly declared, I'll pass judgment on you with this body. Wee Young Mu was on the ropes. Impossible. Why? Me, the one blessed by Lord Bavir? He staggered, propping himself up, then looked behind him in confusion. A faint smile crossed Dung Min-ho's face. That's right, Just as he was about to strike, Dung Min-ho had grabbed the blue sash of Lord Bavir. Don't try anything funny. He got into his stance. I'll finish this, but I won't kill you. He planted his feet firmly on the ground to gather power, then charged forward without hesitation. The man's eyes widened as if accepting his fate, as another undefendable punch flew straight at his face. Dung Min-ho clenched his fist, then released it. His body was starting to change, seemingly merging with the wall. Dung Min-ho reached inside his shirt and pulled out a cloth to wipe the remaining marks from his face. The scent had finally subsided a bit. A thought flashed through his mind as he saw the data stream running on the screen. No, I can't let this happen. Lim S stared intently at the computer screen, drenched in sweat. This isn't what I wanted. A scene of him sitting alone at school flashed in his mind. The school cliques, the unavoidable. Forced relationships in class. Then, a scene of Lim S watching from a distance as a group of people bullied another student. Just to live peacefully, without becoming a target, he had to pretend to like this person and hate that one, without getting too close. The bullied student was scared to tears. I just wanted to help people find a place to make the connections they need. Lim S and Dung Min-ho watched the group with troubled expressions, but he gritted his teeth in anger. I didn't create it to sell drugs or run some kind of business. As if spurred on by something, Lim S's fingers flew across the keyboard. Lines of code shot across the screen like arrows. While Lim S was furiously typing, the phones of the guys outside suddenly glitched, leaving them completely bewildered. What's this? Why is it suddenly bugging out? My app's doing it too. He glanced at the group behind him and gritted his teeth, thinking, hurry up. Then, Lim S suddenly jumped up and quickly dragged a chair to block the door. He quickly barricaded the door with the chair. The guys outside finally realized what was happening and started pounding on the door furiously. Damn it! What's that bastard doing? Go check. Hey, open up. Open the damn door, now. As his hands flew across the keyboard, Lim S thought to himself, I have to delete the app permanently. Outside, Wee Youngmoo saw this and roared in anger. Hey, you idiots, get this door open. Lim S looked anxiously at his computer screen. Hurry, please. A red warning symbol suddenly appeared in the corner of the monitor. At the same time, the group outside used a chair to smash through the glass partition. Cursing angrily, they quickly jumped in, terrifying him. You son of a bitch. One of them furiously slapped Lim S across the face. What the hell do you think you're doing? The blonde-haired guy walked up to the computer screen and yelled, he's really trying to ruin us. Hearing this, the other guy kicked Lim S hard again. You goddamn bastard. Nearby, Seo-jun yelled at the blonde guy. Damn it, stop it, hurry. We're all dead if Wee Youngmoo gets back. Gritting his teeth and covering his head, Lim S endured the brutal kicks, thinking he just had to hold on until the app was completely deleted. He suddenly reached out and grabbed a shard of broken glass nearby. Lim S spun around and swung his arm hard, slashing the black-haired guy's leg with the glass shard until it bled. Then he quickly scrambled to his feet and ran. Lim S rushed to a nearby fire extinguisher and, gritting his teeth, yanked out the safety pin. Then he spun back around. Lim S aimed the fire extinguisher's nozzle straight at the group and roared, "That's mine, you bastards." He angrily sprayed the fire extinguisher directly at them, forcing them to cover their faces. What the hell? Damn it, has this kid lost his mind? The program on the computer screen was now almost finished. Son of a bitch. The green bar officially filled up, and the program completed. Lim S, his eyes wet with tears, looked over, overwhelmed with emotion. I did it. Ignoring all danger, Wee Youngmoo furiously charged straight at him. You son of a bitch. One of his hands gripped tightly around Lim S's neck, causing the fire extinguisher to slip from his grasp. Wee Youngmoo slammed Lim S to the ground and roared, "Tie him up, get something to restrain him." Two hazy figures in the mist heard him and hurriedly followed the order. Yes, damn it. Lim S thought to himself as he struggled against Wee Youngmoo's grip. No, he tried to open his tear-filled eyes. In the end, this is as far as I could go. Wee Youngmoo glared at Lim S furiously. You stupid bastard. A tall figure suddenly appeared in the mist, his voice dark. How dare you touch one of my men? Seo-jun turned his head in astonishment. Huh? A hand shot out and grabbed him. His two accomplices whipped their heads around when they heard a scream from behind them. The blonde guy called out softly, Seo-jun? Dung Min-ho was now holding Seo-jun's bloodied head as he turned and glanced at the others. Seeing this, the other two screamed in terror. What the hell? Seo-jun. Seeing them, Dung Min-ho immediately tossed Wee Youngmoo aside and charged forward. He unleashed a flurry of attacks, pummeling the blonde guy until he was black and blue, unable to fight back. Dung Min-ho quickly took down the two of them, and they both collapsed to the ground. He looked at the downed thugs and said in a cold voice, How dare you lay a hand on one of my men? I won't even permit him to die at the hands of trash like you. Lim S looked up at Dung Min-ho, his eyes welling with tears. You're Dung Min-ho? A memory of the two of them sitting under an awning surfaced. In the memory, Lim S suddenly spoke up. Dung Min-ho. Look, this is an app I just made. Curious, he replied. What kind of app? An app icon appeared on a phone screen. People who are close can gather here to interact. If you live near them, you can share your address with them and even form study groups. Dung Min-ho stared at the phone screen in amazement and exclaimed, This is amazing. I can't believe you made an app like this. He pointed to an alert whistle icon in the corner of the screen curiously. So, what's this? Lim S replied. That. Then he lowered his head sadly and said, Remember when those thugs dragged you away? I'm sorry I couldn't do anything. Lim S's eyes filled with an indescribable sadness. Back then, I really couldn't find you, so I added this feature. He began to explain the function of the red button on the screen. If you press it, it will show your current location, but only to people you've designated as friends. If that ever happens again, press this. Then, Lim Si-eun suddenly turned to Dung Min-ho and declared loud and clear, No matter what, I'll be there to help you. I'll either report it or get our friends to come save you. Hearing this, he cracked a slight smile, and the two of them eagerly downloaded the app. Thanks, I'll download it too. Back in the present, Lim Si-eun looked up at him, his eyes welling with tears. Dung Min-ho simply held out his phone and asked coldly, You sent this, didn't you? Lim Si-eun, growing more emotional, replied, You received my signal. The screen displayed the app's interface as tears streamed down Lim Si-eun's face. He braced himself on the ground, sobbing gratefully. Thank you, Dung Min-ho. Lim Si-eun knelt before Dung Min-ho, trembling as he expressed his gratitude. Thank you. Thank you so much. Outside, in the old alley, the sounds of two people shouting and arguing echoed out. Damn it, how is he so strong? Let go of me. Stit, who was cuffing Jin Jae-hee's hands behind her back, snapped in irritation. Hey, stop struggling. She suddenly turned her head, saw him, and gasped in shock. Lord Ravis Vindica. Jin Jae-hee seized the opportunity, quickly breaking free and bolting, which made Stit scream in panic. Hey, stop. Dung Min-ho calmly stopped her, saying, Let her go. We don't need her anymore. He glanced up at the building behind them and thought, First, it looks like all of their subordinates will be wiped out. A massive fire was blazing, showing no signs of being put out. Rescue workers and police quickly cleared the area, shouting urgently, The fire hasn't spread far. We have to put it out now. Suddenly, a firefighter spoke up. This is everyone. Inspector Son flinched when she glanced over at three bodies sprawled near a tree, her eyes widening in shock. Among the group, the blonde-haired man had been beaten so badly his face was a bloody mess. His pupils weren't even intact. The three of them, Dung Min-ho, Lim Si-eun, and Stit, casually walked away. Lim Si-eun, without saying a word, suddenly glanced to the side. Stit was cheerfully skipping and singing, while Dung Min-ho walked on, thinking to himself, Why do I get this feeling that Stit is just using me? He scowled in anger, glaring up at the sky. When I get back, I'm not letting this slide. The streetlights were out. Inside their house, Lim Si-eun asked about Dung Min-ho's injured hand. Are you sure you don't need to go to the hospital? With a decisive tone, he replied, Positive. Going there would be a real pain. Lim Si-eun gave a small, grateful laugh. Thanks, Dung Min-ho. I only sent out the distress signal as a precaution. I never thought you'd actually show up. Dung Min-ho seemed to have a sudden realization. Now that you mention it, he started to say, It was a coincidence. On my way here. Before he could finish his sentence, Stit clamped a hand over his mouth, cutting him off. Were you about to say this was all just a coincidence, my lord? Elsewhere, along the path Jin Jae-hee was leading them down, Stit grabbed her by the collar, demanding, Is this really the path to your gang's hideout? If you're lying to me, just think about what happened to that last guy. He'll be your example. She shot back bitterly. Are you doing all of this for that friend of yours, Lim Si-eun? Is that why you're willing to push things this far? Hearing this, Dung Min-ho caught on and pressed her psychologically. What was that? You people are holding Lim Si-eun, aren't you? Slave number one. No wonder I haven't seen him at school lately. Jin Jae-hee snapped, sounding annoyed. What are you talking about? If it's not for your friend, then what is your motive? A notification bell flashed on his phone screen. Stit started whispering to him about the matter. My lord, you absolutely cannot use the word coincidence here. Human relationships don't work that way. He reluctantly looked over at her as she spoke. You're not just planning to live here for a year or two before returning to the demon realm, right? Lim Si-eun looked at him, his eyes sparkling with deep admiration. In the student's eyes, Lord Ravis Vindica was nothing less than a hero who had come to his rescue. He turned to Stit and asked him, Speaking of which, who is this? He answered, Her? She's my subordinate. Her name is Stit. Lim Si-eun's eyes glazed over as he thought in bewilderment. A subordinate? Could Dung Min-ho be? He didn't wait long before voicing his suspicion. Hey Dung Min-ho, can I ask you a question? Your sudden, almost nonsensical change, and now the appearance of this strangely dressed subordinate. Lim S gritted his teeth, trying to tell himself that it wasn't what he was thinking. Then, he lowered his head and thought, it's just as I suspected. Dung Min-ho has joined some kind of shady organization. I just hope he hasn't gotten tangled up with the wrong crowd. Dung Min-ho figured Lim S must have already guessed something. In the future, it's highly likely that more enemies will target my subordinates. You can't hide the truth forever. He shattered Lim S train of thought by confirming it. You guessed correctly. I am Ravis Vindica, son of the great demon king from the demon realm. Back in the present, Lim S was staring blankly, unable to process what he'd just heard. Who? Dung Min-ho said. Well, things have come to this, so there's no helping it. Now that you know about me, you're going to have to help me with a few things from now on. Lim S himself still had no idea what he was talking about. Son of the great demon king? What is he rambling on about? Suddenly, something made Lim S look down. It was a cat. And he screamed, it's this cat again. Seeing this, Dung Min-ho realized she was up to something, but was too tired to explain it himself. Hey, you explain it to him. I've been fighting all day, and I'm exhausted. Stit, in the form of a cat, replied, yes, my lord. Now perk up those ears and listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. Seeing this, Lim S froze in terror and screamed his head off. A talking cat! The scene changes to Mu, tied up in a vehicle. Detective Cha says, everything's been torched. We're going to head out first. His face was battered, and he was filled with regret. That bastard. I could have killed him. I really could have killed him. Suddenly, a very sinister figure approached. Who are you? This is a restricted area. It was Bavir Hill. He walked up and placed a hand over Detective Cha's face. Silence. The detective crumpled to the ground. He then approached Mu. You poor child. You look absolutely pathetic. Seeing Bavir Hill in front of him, Mu roared, Lord Bavir Hill, I will kill that bastard. Bavir Hill replied icily, let's walk and talk. In the forest, Inspector Sun was deep in thought. We've just received a report that all the distribution points have been brought under control. Who in the world could have done this? Holding a pouch of the drug, she thought. And to think, this stuff was even approved by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. Clenching the pouch tightly, she seethed with anger. A huge amount of this has already gotten to the students. Those damn scumbags. Just then, Detective Cha staggered up from the ground. Ugh, my head is splitting. She rushed over to him, worried. Detective Cha, are you all right? He answered urgently. The van. Check the van first. At that moment, Mu was gone. She was completely stunned and horrified. Impossible, she thought, her mind racing. What the hell is going on? Where did that scumbag vanish to? At the school where Bavir Hill was, Mu knelt down. Lord Bavir Hill, please, just give me one more chance, he screamed, on the verge of madness. Just give me more of the drug. If I have more, I swear I'll take that bastard's life. Bavir Hill, holding a burnt flower, spoke coldly. Do you have any idea how valuable those flowers you let get burned were? All around them were human corpses, adorned with cold, purple flowers. Do you know how much effort it took to gather these people? He asked, looking at the flower as if it were the last one in existence. Humanity is nothing but a pile of worthless, untrustworthy trash. My precious flowers. At this, Mu begged in terror. I just need one more chance. I'm begging you. I'll kill that bastard for sure. Before he could continue, Bavir Hill shoved the flower through his eyes, making him scream in agony. My eyes, Bavir Hill said, without a shred of pity. Do you remember the blood oath you swore to me? His words were ice cold. Use the flowers that bloom from your own body to prove your loyalty to me. Elsewhere, Jin Jae-hee was rummaging through a corner of a room, looking for something. Damn it, I have to survive no matter what. If I can just find my wallet, I can get the hell out of here. She searched frantically. Damn it, where the hell is it? I went to the office, but the cops were already there. Before she could finish her sentence, a figure who barely looked human appeared and said, I just came to take a look, but it turns out you were here, huh? Startled, Jin Jae-hee stumbled back in fear. Who are you? This is insane. Why are you trying to cause trouble now? A look of craving mixed with anger crossed his face. You ruined me. This is all your fault. The blue ribbon. Give it to me. She gritted her teeth, her face contorted with rage. You psycho bastard. How many pills did you pop? Grabbing a wooden plank from the corner, she attacked him. You son of a bitch. What hole did you crawl out of? The blow didn't even faze him, and it sent her tumbling to the ground. He just mumbled, damn it, the blue ribbon. Give it to me. As if possessed, he began to radiate a dark aura. Blue ribbon. The aura wrapped around Jin Jae-hee, paralyzing her. Damn it. Now terrified, she began to cry. I don't want to die like this. From the dark smoke, Wanbi appeared. If this happens, Ravis Vindica is going to be very upset. Jin Jae-hee couldn't see who it was and just cried out for help. Who? Who's there? Help me, please. Wanbei's voice was cold and merciless. Sorry, but I'm not that strong. Besides, you've already got a spot reserved in hell, so you might as well just quietly accept your fate, right? Bitter and humiliated, she sobbed in terror. Damn it. Hell? Then Wanbei let out a laugh that was enough to terrify anyone. But your body still has its uses in the human world, in the domain where Ineus stands. Welcome, my dear little brother. It seemed Ba Ka had been plotting something. Ever since sending Ravis Vindica to the human world, she had turned to Ba Ka with a sharp gaze. How dare you use my son? Ba Ka just chuckled with delight. So, you figured it out? He continued, trying to reassure her. There's no need to worry. Ravis Vindica is all grown up now. Did you think I'd just send him off like that? I placed a blood demon stone inside his body. At that, she completely exploded. What? A blood demon stone? You've completely lost your mind. Are you trying to announce to the entire world that the great demon king's son is all alone in the human realm? Seeing her worry, he was too lazy to explain. Sister, why don't you try trusting Ravis Vindica a little? She replied calmly. It's not that I don't trust Ravis Vindica. I'm worried about the way this world works, she continued. Even the smallest crack can cause everything to collapse. That's how unstable the world is right now. Ba Ka shattered her train of thought, retorting, Ravis Vindica is much stronger than you think. He's like me, aggressive, with fighting power that surpasses anyone else. Furious, she grabbed Ba Ka by the head and scolded him. You little brat, that's precisely the problem. If even a single hair on Ravis Vindica's soul is harmed, you and I will both be dead meat. Got it? Annoyed that he was still being bullied by his sister at his age, he grumbled. How old do you think I am that you're still hitting me on the head? Wanba, search every single magic book for me. Find a way to get rid of all the older sisters in the world. Wanbi disagreed. Shut up. I don't want a crazy little brother like you. Can't you two just calm down? The mother angrily yanked Ba Ka by the hair. Wanbi thought it was a miracle that Ravis Vindica had managed to survive and grow up in an environment like this. Arriving where Dung Min-ho and Lim Si-eun were, the boy shivered but still had to ask, So, you're really a demon, aren't you? Dung Min-ho replied. That is what humans call us. Yes. Sit was now overjoyed to hear him speak. He said, Us. Lim Si-eun was hesitant. Now that I know the truth, will I go to hell when I die? The man answered, Hell is right here. If you come with me to the demon world, no one will be able to touch you. He took on a dangerous demeanor and added implicitly, Because the sole successor to the great demon king, I, Ravis Vindica, am your master. No, the boy cried out in horror. You don't have to protect me. I don't want to go to a place like that. Seeing how scared he was, the man put on a teasing face. Just try to run. I'll pluck out Wanbi's eyes and suck on them like lollipops. Lim Si-eun wondered. Then, what happened to the real Dung Min-ho? Sit, in her cat form replied. He was destined to die anyway. As a rule, only the bodies of people like that can be used as vessels. At this, the boy pressed his lips together, a troubled look on his face. No way. Why did Dung Min-ho have to die? Seeing his reaction, Dung Min-ho said, Don't look so gloomy. We're all going to meet in the demon world in a few decades anyway. Lim Si-eun looked utterly helpless, trying to accept it. So it's basically confirmed that I'm going to the demon world. Seeing his sadness, the man turned to Sit and said, Humans really do have needlessly vivid imaginations. The demon world is actually a pretty fun place, isn't it? She agreed. Yes, that's right. Her voice took on a menacing tone. Our home is filled with the smell of blood and screams. Her demeanor made Lim Si-eun even more afraid. Please, stop. Dung Min-ho looked at Lim Si-eun and instructed him. You've got a long way to go before then. Don't worry, just treat me like you did before, and don't let this slip to anyone. Terrified, Lim Si-eun replied, Okay. Dung Min-ho began to move. Ugh, my whole body aches again. I'm leaving. Sit's voice called out. Let's go together, Lord Ravis Vindica. Dung Min-ho felt completely exhausted. My head is killing me. Did I use too much of the Blood Demon Stone's power? Suddenly, Dung Min-ho appeared, cheerfully holding a cake. Big brother, happy birthday. Didn't you know it was your birthday today? Birthday? Dung Min-ho smiled brightly. Mom and I worked hard on this cake since yesterday. I can't guarantee how it tastes, though. Placing a birthday hat on his head, she said, Mom and Dad will be home soon. She held up a camera. All right now. Let's start with a birthday selfie. Dung Min-ho seemed to notice something on his brother's face. She just smiled and explained it away. Some guys were bullying an old woman with a cart, so he stepped in. It's nothing, really. I was just sticking my nose where it didn't belong. He thought to himself, helping others when I'm not even strong myself. How strange. She held a spoonful of cake up to his face. Anyway, you must be hungry. Here, have a bite. He ate the piece of cake as if he were savoring the most exquisite delicacy. What is this? It's white, soft, and sweet. What is this flavor? Just as they were enjoying themselves, Dung Tae-sik stormed in aggressively. Damn it. He stomped his feet in anger. Find out where those bastards who threw eggs at me live. I'll kill them all. His followers replied, yes, sir. He lost control of his anger and punched one of his own men. No, it would be more fitting to kill you first. You can't even stop something like this from happening? His wife saw this and tried to stop him. Honey, stop. He shoved her hand away, shouting, let go of me. Seeing the urgent situation, Dung Min-ho rushed in to intervene. Please stop. Mom didn't do anything wrong. He roared. What? Looking at the birthday cake, Dung Tae-sik growled. What the hell is this? Your father is out getting eggs thrown at him during his campaign, and you're sitting here eating cake? He shoved her and cursed. What the hell kind of person are you? Enraged, he swiped the cake off the table. If I were your real father, could you even stomach this? Seeing this, his wife tried to reason with him. Honey, please, it's Dung Min-ho's birthday today, he seethed. A birthday? At a time like this? Stomping furiously, he spun around and headed for the door. What a suffocating family. By now, Dung Min-ho had lost his temper too. My cake. How dare you touch my things? The mother collapsed, hugging Dung Min-ho and bursting into tears. I'm sorry, my children. I'm so sorry. Her daughter comforted her. No, Mom, you didn't do anything wrong. Dung Min-ho's eyes were ice cold as he thought about Dung Tae-sik. That guy. He's just a super arrogant mortal. Meanwhile, in his office, Dung Tae-sik was in a frenzy. That bastard Hwa Young-moo didn't even send the money and cut off all contact. I don't know what godforsaken corner he's hiding in. He gritted his teeth. If we want to get even a single picture with Assemblyman Park, we need to bribe him first. Young-moo, that son of a bitch, his lackey chimed in. I'll do my best to find Yu, sir. The man clenched his fists. It's so frustrating that we have to bow down to a bastard like that just to raise our approval ratings. And every single one of these trash bags is acting like trash. From the doorway, a subordinate ran in, out of breath. Sir, a video of Dung Min-ho is going viral online. He asked urgently. What? What video? The henchman brought the video to him. Please take a look at this, sir. In the video, Dung Min-ho was filming the bullies. Hey, you, I'm recording all of this. Stop it. One of the bullies yelled. Hey, you crazy bitch, who do you think you are, butting in? She retorted. Why are you bullying an old woman, you bastards? He got angry. You bitch. Then came the voices of bystanders. Hey, that's enough. Shit, what are you looking at? I said, let's go, you dog. Dung Min-ho then approached the old woman to check on her. Are you all right, ma'am? The old woman's voice was filled with gratitude. Oh, thank you, dear. After watching up to that point, Dung Tae-sik asked, something like this happened to Dung Min-ho? His men replied, yes, sir. If we reveal that Dung Min-ho is your daughter, it will be a huge boost to your approval ratings. The comments are exploding. Seizing the opportunity, his voice was filled with delight. Really? He looked at the video and thought to himself, this could really create a great image for me. Those words made Dung Min-ho fall silent for a moment. But the conflict in front of them continued, as Dung Tae-sik suddenly slapped his wife hard and scolded her. What? Leave? You ungrateful woman. Have you forgotten everything I've done for you? Go ahead and cause a scene, but you can't take Dung Min-ho or Dung Min-ha anywhere. Their names are on my family register. Dung Min-ho's mother was trembling from the blow before she managed to plead, please, just let us go. But all she received was his threatening defiance. Just try it and see if you can survive without a penny to your name. Dung Min-ha, who was nearby, couldn't stand his cruelty any longer and screamed, Grandpa gave us that stuff. It's not yours. Uncle. Dung Tae-sik sneered once again. Just like your pathetic mother. So naive. Do you know what the real key to survival is? Once I get my hands on something, it's mine forever. Remember that, my dear daughter. Dung Min-ho's expression darkened as she was forced to yield to Dung Tae-sik's heartlessness. Yes, this is my choice. Dung Min-ho's brow furrowed as she glared at him and shouted. I'll do it on one condition. If I earn any money, put it under my name. That's my condition. Dung Min-ho's gaze was more determined than ever as she thought resolutely. I will save my mother and brother from that monster. Suddenly, Dung Tae-sik burst out laughing and replied, a condition, Dung Min-ho. That's a given. What you earn is yours alone. Han Swang-do, who was nearby, also smirked before adding, it's a deal. Shall we sign the contract now? Chairman, please take care of Dung Min-ho. She's more precious to me than my own life. But Dung Min-ho's mother had a look of pure anxiety on her face. She asked Dung Min-ho, are you sure, honey? But her daughter was now very confident as she turned to her and replied with a firm voice. Yes, Mom. Just trust me this once. Thank you for worrying, big brother. Seeing her resolve, Dung Min-ho was momentarily speechless. The scene changes. As a car sped through the night, Han Swang-do had a strangely crazed look on her face as she made an assessment. The more Mother looks at her, the more perfect she is. My new vessel. Her appearance, her eyes, and that rare purity you don't see these days. Mother likes everything about her. Han-soo, sitting next to her, cast a sharp glance and interjected, "But that Dung Min-ho guy, something's not right about him." Hearing that, the woman looked up at the person in front and asked, "Han-soo, what do you think?" She didn't have to think long before calmly pointing out, "Dung Min-ho's brother, I sense something special from him." Han-soo's eyes half closed with an air of boredom as she continued, "He's definitely not human." A flicker of interest crept into Han Swang-doo's expression as she realized that, if her subordinate was saying that, Wei Yang-mu might be a tracker from the demon world. While she was considering the situation, Han-soo suddenly tilted her head and eagerly cut in. "Do you want me to take care of him, mother?" But seeing her eagerness, the woman gently refused. "Not yet. Acting rashly could cause bigger problems. Let's just observe for now. Dung Min-ho is the top priority." Hearing those words, the other woman couldn't help but scream, "That bastard's glare. I want to rip him to shreds, Model." Han Swang-doo thought of Dung Min-ho and calmly reassured him, "Be patient. Tsk. The moonless night is coming. Once we perform the ritual and make Dung Min-ho mine, you can do whatever you want to that brat Min-ho." Now, resting on her lap, his eyes widened with delight as he exclaimed, "Really? You promise?" "Of course." Her hands reached out to gently stroke Wei Young-moo's forehead as she replied, "It's my gift to you. I promise, son." Suddenly, Han-soo's voice rang out, "Mara, what about me then?" causing Han Swang-doo's eyes to fly open in shock. "What? Mara? Han-soo, don't you ever mention that name again. I am Han Swang-doo. No. I've been reborn as Dung Min-ho. No Demon King, no 12 Dark Thrones. Nothing can stop me. I won't fail this time." Time fast forwards to the next morning. Dung Min-ho stood before a towering building, her gaze unusually determined, while she let out an involuntary sigh and thought, "I can do this." With that, she confidently strode forward. In another room, a voice echoed, "Everyone, pay attention to her. I'd like to introduce the newest member of our family, Dung Min-ho." Yu put his arm around Dung Min-ho and continued, "You've probably already seen her on social media. Dung Min-ho will be the center for No Entertainment's new group, Zara." At that moment, Haeyeon, who was standing in the crowd, spoke up, clearly displeased. "Ma'am, isn't this decision a bit too sudden? I've been training for the center position all this time." The woman didn't dismiss her persistence and instead praised her. "Haeyeon, you've done well. From now on, please support Dung Min-ho as her partner." As soon as she finished, Han Swang-doo turned to leave, but didn't forget to add a reminder, "Work hard." Dung Min-ho politely replied, "Yes, ma'am." The door to the room closed with a soft click. Meanwhile, with the two girls, Haeyeon had already become agitated and was arguing with Dung Min-ho. "Got a powerful backer, huh? What? The daughter of a mayoral candidate? You must love riding on your connections. Stealing the center position I've bled for over the last 4 years? Didn't you say when you joined that you wouldn't sign the contract if you couldn't be the center?" Seeing her furious expression made Dung Min-ho tense up and stammer, "No, I." Before she could finish her sentence, the other girl swung her hand and slapped Dung Min-ho right across the face without another word. Haeyeon's face twisted dramatically as she threatened in a low voice, "Let's see how far that backing of yours gets you." Dung Min-ho just glared at her, unable to speak, her hand covering the cheek where Haeyeon's blow had just landed. Meanwhile, Han Swang-doo had moved to another room. She walked in slowly, just in time to see her son, Wei Young-mu, shouting excitedly, "This is insane. Mom's gonna go nuts." At the same time, he noticed Han Swang-doo and turned to her. Mom, look at this." This made her curious, and she asked, "What is it?" Wei Young-mu pointed at the screen before hastily replying. Haeyeon scratched Dung Min-ho's face. "There's blood, there's blood." A silence fell over the scene reflected on the screen, but on this side, Han Swang-doo gritted her teeth and muttered, "That vermin, worse than trash." Her face clearly showed her anger, veins popping as she roared, "How dare she scar my precious vessel?" Cutting to another scene, voices echoed in the air. "So, Dung Min-ho is about to debut? That's big news. No Entertainment is really famous, right? The kid could dominate the human world if she does well." IMC looked at the woman in front of him and said, "You seem to know a lot." She laughed heartily before confidently replying, "I've lived in the human world for 200 years. You know?" Nearby, Dung Min-ho simply crossed his arms, his eyes half closed, and spoke slowly. "If that's what my little sister wants, it has nothing to do with me. But that chairwoman and her kids rub me the wrong way. They have no demonic energy, yet they didn't even flinch at my glare. They could be demons hiding in the human world." Stitt also turned serious and slowly pointed out the problem. Demons, who have lived in the human world for a long time, can hide their demonic energy as easily as flipping their hand. It's better to be careful, and don't just randomly shoot Ravis Vindica from Min-ho's body. Even he had to calmly agree with that. "That's right, Min-ho. Nobody likes that glare of yours." Hearing that, He narrowed his eyes slightly, but continued in a steady, low tone. Anyway, they're very suspicious. Even without demonic energy, I can still recognize a demon. In contrast, MC wasn't really paying attention and turned away slightly, whispering teasingly, "Even though you couldn't even find Bael." Those words sent Dung Min-ho into a rage, and he pointed at him, nagging, "Stit, drag this brat back to the demon world right now. Throw him into the hellish training camp." She wanted to jump for joy as she replied, "Yes, my lord." But he shouted back, "Stop threatening me. I know you can't just go there whenever you want." Still fuming, Dung Min-ho thought to himself, "I can't even use the demon world's bloodstone properly. So even dogs look down on me. Stit, have you found a way to get the bloodstone's power back?" She narrowed her eyes and eagerly replied, "Yes. As you commanded, I found a way to restore the demonic power to Ravis Vindica." Hearing this, Dung Min-ho crossed his arms in satisfaction and declared, "Good, I will reclaim my power. You will go and scout Han Swang-do and those twins with servant number 1. Stit answered without hesitation, "Understood." IMC, on the other hand, was bewildered, thinking, "Me? A servant?" Cutting to another scene, a figure moved slowly through the night. Haeon walked, wiping away tears, while muttering to herself, "This can't be happening." After 4 years of preparation, suddenly, the metallic sound of a long blade rang out. They stood menacingly behind her, making her jump and spin around to ask, "Who's there?" Before her was none other than Hansu, wearing a calm expression, with a sharp blade in each hand. The sight made Haeon tremble in fear. "What do you want? Did I do something wrong?" "Wait, if this is about Dung Min-ho, I'm sorry, I just lost my temper for a moment." As she begged with tear-filled eyes, they suddenly flew wide open. Instantly, without a word, Hansu swung the blades at her. Streams of red blood sprayed like rain, splattering all over the surrounding walls. After finishing the job, she showed no remorse, simply muttering, "Why did you have to slap her face?" Then, she simply turned away from the bisected head and said, "Mom hates that more than anything." As two figures walked through the quiet night, a lively conversation between them could be heard. "Youngdu, don't come home so late. I was worried about you. Your dad bought chicken for the kids and is on his way home. I can't just sit at home and wait. You're so sweet. Are you sure this is what the little ones really want? Or is my dear wife having a craving?" But contrary to their joy, a shaggy, utterly savage-looking monster appeared behind them. The scene shifts to a towering, high-end luxury apartment. Han Young-do, who had been sound asleep, suddenly stirred and let out a pained sound, her eyes slowly fluttering open as she gradually woke up. But before her was the same monster from earlier, hovering over her body and muttering, "I really like this body." She shrieked in terror, "Who are you?" But the monster didn't answer. It attacked Han Young-do, making her cough and choke as it growled. "Shut up. I will crush every last one of you humans. Don't worry about the children. I'll raise them very carefully. You see, I'm in need of a child." Even though her body was being taken over, a mother's instinct still tried to scream through choked words, "No, my children." But that monster didn't hesitate at all and continued to crawl into Han Young-do's mouth. Soon, it had completely slipped into her oral cavity, instantly taking over her body and letting out a maniacal laugh. Just then, Han Young-do's husband, who was beside her, woke up. With a still sleepy face, he asked, "What was that noise, honey?" He immediately realized something was wrong and cried out in alarm, "Honey!" And then, the window of their apartment suddenly slammed shut. In that instant, Han Young-do grabbed him by the neck, sending him into a complete panic. "Honey, what are you doing?" In response, she questioned him suspiciously, "Are you really my husband? You look so pathetic. How could I live with someone like this?" Han Young-do's husband seemed to fully realize what was happening and stammered in terror. Who in the world are you?" But she just casually flung her hand, releasing his neck, and said, "Why should you care?" But in reality, he was in freefall from the top of the apartment building. "No, Young-do." The sound of shattering bones echoed, followed by a spray of fresh blood. The monster possessing Han Young-do's body showed no remorse. It just placed a hand on her pregnant belly, its face instantly twisting into a deranged expression as it declared, "This body is mine now." The scene shifts to another room as a pained scream rings out. Han Young-do, on a hospital bed, was thrashing violently in agony. "Damn it, it hurts so much." This alarmed the doctors, who tried to calm her down. "What are you all doing? Please, calm down, ma'am." But she refused to listen, screaming in fury, "Shut up and get these filthy things out of me right now. Get them out before I kill every last one of you. This is all that bitch Aeneas's fault." Sometime later, after the birth, the result left the doctors utterly bewildered. What's going on? The babies, the two newborns, have already opened their eyes, and they were red and black, leaving them horrified. This can't be happening. Time slowly moved on to nightfall. Han Young-do, her body slimmer after giving birth, still couldn't stop criticizing how sluggish her body felt. It must be because I just gave birth. Look at this disgusting belly fat. When is it going to disappear? Meanwhile, the two children looked up at her, letting out hesitant calls. Ma, but she just kicked him with her foot and grumbled, "Hey, if you're gonna take my mana, you'd better pay me back for it. How long are you going to keep crawling around like this? Grow up quickly and protect me, until I find a vessel that can completely contain my soul of hatred." The scene opens another page with a more lively atmosphere, but set amidst the gossip of countless people. I know she's in shock because her husband passed away. But isn't this a bit much? There's a limit to comforting someone. She's not the Young-do we used to know anymore. And what about the children? She won't even let anyone see their faces. I heard she's barely even home anymore. She was so happy when she finally got pregnant after all that trouble. But Han Young-do paid no mind to the whispers, focusing only on the young man in front of her. You said you work in broadcasting? Then you must know a lot of pretty and handsome kids, right? Her words made him visibly uncomfortable as he mumbled a reply. He then slowly began to speak. Well, then. But before he could finish, his head slumped onto her shoulder. Having dealt with him, she smirked slyly and thought to herself, Ineas, there's no shortage of young and beautiful things, even in this living hell. I'll make every single one of them mine. Han Young-do recalled Ineas's image and made a firm declaration, and one day, I will kill you with my own 2 hands. Back in the present, Han Young-do was giving a report, feigning tears. The victim, Haeyeon, was a girl slated to be the center of an upcoming group. She was talented and had more potential than anyone. Just then, the inspector across from her softly asked if the victim had any conflicts with her colleagues, or perhaps she was being stalked by someone. Hearing this made her cough and answer hesitantly about the matter. Noticing this, the inspector had to ask, Are you all right, President? But Han Young-do just stammered and made a nauseous sound. Just then, Hansu, who was behind her, gently interjected into their conversation. Inspector, I think it's best we stop here for today. The president thought of that girl as her own daughter. Seeing this, Hansu, who was beside her, also added his voice. Why don't you go meet the other trainees first? The inspector heard this and didn't press further, slowly standing up. Yes, I understand. Let's be on our way then, Inspector Song. Even as she walked away, she didn't forget to glance back at them. Then, the sound of the door closing echoed. Afterward, Han Young-do, who seemed genuinely unwell, froze. Right after, she vomited a pile of bright green liquid. Beneath it, maggots were still squirming. Seeing the puddle and what just happened, she became furious and screamed, That damn inspector, snooping around everywhere like he's hunting for rats. Do you have any idea how much money I paid them? What the hell are the higher-ups doing? Seeing this, Hansu bowed his head slightly. He spoke softly to reassure her. Mother, he'll stop eventually. On the contrary, his words did nothing to help and only fueled her rage. My body is rotting. I'm dying of impatience here. How dare that wench Aeneas leave a scar on my vessel? And yet, he didn't hesitate at all. He embraced her rotting body and advised, Mother, are you worried? I'll have Dung Min-ho's body ready for you soon, so please don't be so stressed, all right? After saying that, Han Young-do seemed to realize something and raised his voice. That's right, Suya, let's get started. Then, the room was once again filled with calculating words. I'm sure you've all heard the news about Haeyeon. Some crazy bastard. Or maybe some crazy bitch. This world is full of psychos, attacking a high school girl in broad daylight. I'm worried about your safety. And to quell this atmosphere of unease, we'll be starting dorm life from tomorrow. So prepare yourselves and come to work. Dung Min, who was standing opposite them, listened and slowly voiced her question. The dorms? Is that really necessary? Waiwa Youngmoo noticed her hesitation, tilted his head, and pointed out, Is there some reason you can't? Didn't you know that idle dorms are mandatory? Become one with my body. That voice made her anxious as she thought, But if I'm not home, what about my mom and my brother, Hansu? Someone next to her, seemingly out of patience, cut in. You're really making a lot of demands. If you really can't do it, I'll. Immediately, he turned to calm her down. Calm down, Yan. What were you about to do? The moment you leave, even a scratch on her face, Mom will kill you. Dung Min-ho, you understand, right? He really cares a lot about Haeyeon. She's extremely sensitive right now, so don't make this scary big sister angry and just do as you're told, okay? The chairman will explain everything to your parents, so just pack your bags and meet here tomorrow. Got it? The two girls standing next to Dung Min-ho, though worried, answered, yes, but she remained silent, just lowering her head with a mess of thoughts in her mind. Living in the dorms? Huh? I'm already getting worried. Even he has been acting different lately. Moving to another area under the cover of night, Dung Min-ho watched Lim S struggle to lift a weight of a few kilos and thought with disdain. You call that training? My seals are gradually getting stronger. I can suppress humans using demonic energy, but if I encountered a demonic beast in this state, it would still be a tough fight. That bastard Wanbi. If he was going to use me, the least he could have done was teach me how to control the demon bloodstone. Not long ago, from B's perspective, as he lay on his stomach on the bed, slowly swinging his feet, I should put the method for controlling the demon bloodstone in the letter. To my dear friend, Ravis Vindica, since you're still very weak, I'll give you 2 gifts. First, how to control the demon bloodstone. Originally, the demon bloodstone was used to suppress the demonic power of prisoners. That's right, the demon bloodstone contains the demonic energy that was sealed within your remaining soul. I've modified yours to directly link the demonic energy within your vengeful soul to your human body. That power will only be fully released once the demon bloodstone is broken. Does my eye have to be shattered for it to open? And for the second gift, I've sent that child to you. I'm sorry. I love you, and I'm entrusting her to your care, my friend. Wanbei held up the letter he had just written, his eyes filled with satisfaction as he mused. All done. Now I just need to get this letter to Ravis. Read it carefully and regain your strength, Ravis. But Dung Min-ho had angrily torn it to shreds. That damn bastard. Does he think he can just use me however he wants? I'll tear him to pieces before he even gets here. That damn Wanbi. His lordship didn't read it. Could it be that the method was written in that letter? Suddenly, at that moment, Stit, in his cat form, came rushing over. Master Ravis Vindica! Master Ravis Vindica! Something terrible has happened. Seeing the strange sight of a cat acting this way, Lim S, who was beside him, was bewildered. It's running on 2 legs. But, he just calmly asked, what is it now? She looked up at him and urgently reported on Han Yongdu and the twins you asked about. What about them? It's Mara, that chairwoman. Han Yongdu. She's Mara. Standing to the side, he heard the name and asked in confusion, Mara? Who's that? The Witch of Greed. One of the 12 dark seats. It seems Maravelias has taken over a human body and is living here. Hearing this, Dung Min-ho let out a small, amused smirk. As he glanced over, his mouth forming silent words, the scene shifted to a bustling hall filled with lively chatter and laughter. At that same moment, a group of people were trembling as they showered someone with praise. Lady Aeneas, you are truly the most beautiful goddess of the demon world. Your elegance shines through, even when you are silent. How can one person be so beautiful? Without a hint of modesty, she spoke arrogantly. To have beautiful lips, one must first learn to keep the truth within. Her words made another noblewoman's face light up with admiration. Truly a noble lady. Every word you speak is like poetry. It is because you speak the truth that you are always so beautiful. Not just her, but others nearby also clicked their tongues in approval and offered endless praise. I have just given my daughter a formal arts education, hoping that she might one day be of service to Lady Aeneas. I want to teach her that words can be as sharp as a knife, reflecting a person's virtue. Upon hearing this, Aeneas didn't hesitate to extend her hand and kindly speak. I understand. Then I shall bestow upon this young lady the blessing of a silver tongue. Hearing this, they cried out with joy, not forgetting to offer words of gratitude. Thank you so much, Lady Aeneas. At that moment, Maravelias, from a distance, felt a pang of jealousy and spoke in a mocking tone. What utter nonsense. The person beside her heard this and gently tried to appease her. Lady Vel, you also look magnificent. However, she just glanced at the woman, gave a contemptuous smirk, and said dismissively, thanks, I'll bless your daughter too. May she drown in a sea of lust and die in excruciating pain. Those words made the woman cover her mouth and let out a disgusted gasp, as if about to retch. Maravelias glanced back at Aeneas, screaming with envy in her heart. Just you wait, I won't let this go. The scene snapped back to the present, where Stit was continuing his report with a very serious expression. Lady Maravelias resents Lady Aeneas. Meanwhile, after hearing the whole story, Dung Min-ho just quietly crossed her arms and remarked, according to Mom, she's been like that since she was a child. Of course, she didn't care. She was caught stealing from the Well of Demon Souls, so she escaped to the human world and turned it into a living hell. Lim S, who was beside him and still didn't understand the full story, cut in curiously. But why would that witch approach Dung Min-ho? Do you think she knows about Ravis? Without looking back at him, he replied thoughtfully, probably not. If she knew, things wouldn't have been this peaceful for so long. In any case, I can't beat her at this point. And those twins aren't normal either. Stit, in his cat form, suddenly put both paws on his hips and declared loudly, then we must increase the power of the demon bloodstone. I'll go and prepare at once. Her eyes took on a strangely sinister glint as she laid out her plan. Step 1. Stir up the neighbors. The scene then shifts to the bustling aisles of a supermarket. Dung Min-ho and her mother were shopping together, but her mom couldn't stop worrying out loud. Dung Min-ho, even now, if you want to quit, just say the word. Ever since you started working, so many bad things have happened. I'm so worried. Sensing her mother's anxiety, she spoke gently, trying to keep her from getting more upset. It's okay, Mom. Manager Ann said the culprit will be caught soon. It's clear he's just killing randomly. Dung Min-ho's mother's brow furrowed deeply as she continued. You've always dreamed of becoming a veterinarian, haven't you? Just then, they passed an item that caught both of their eyes, and it couldn't have been more of a coincidence, as they had just walked past the pet food aisle. This sent Dung Min-ho into deep thought. I want to get Mom out of that hell as soon as possible, for her sake. Suddenly, she gripped the shopping cart tightly, then turned to her mother with a bright expression. Mom, an opportunity like this doesn't come around often. Dreams can change, you know? I'll get famous fast and make tons of money. But her mother was still unconvinced and replied, but if you live in the dorms, I won't be able to see you as much. Dung Min-ho answered confidently. Don't worry about me, or him. Once the voting is over, everything will calm down. But the more confident she acted, the more her mother felt like a burden. Her mother's face fell, and she lowered her voice. I'm sorry, Dung Min-ho. You wouldn't have to be doing this if I hadn't remarried. She immediately noticed her mother's self-reproach and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't say that, Mom. You're still young, and it was so hard raising me and my brother. Dad's death wasn't your fault, and before you two got married, he treated us pretty well. Mom. We were tricked. Her mother's eyes narrowed slightly. Seeing that determination left her momentarily speechless. Dung Min-ho. But Dung Min-ho stood firm in her decision, stating emphatically, You just have to wait a little longer, Mom. I'll work hard. The scene shifts to an amusement park as a scream echoes through the air. In the distance, a group of people are yelling their heads off, experiencing the thrill of a roller coaster. From below, Dung Min-ho glanced up at them and sneered cryptically, Pathetic humans. What's so scary about that? Seeing him like this, Lim S, who was standing next to him, commented wryly, Dung Min-ho, for a demon, you sure have a weak stomach, huh? Hearing this, he suddenly became agitated and shot back. I only got sick because I ate something that went bad. His words made Lim S grumble softly. Listen to you. I told you not to go on it. Dung Min-ho narrowed his eyes in annoyance, silently making a firm resolution never to ride one of those again. Then, they moved to another attraction with an incredibly spooky entrance. Dung Min-ho, now composed, asked, Stit, is he in here? She answered decisively, Yes, Lord Ravis Vindica. The demon who was imprisoned in the human world recently escaped surveillance, but I've tracked him down with my keen instincts. Hearing this, he showed a glimmer of curiosity, then turned to ask, What's his name? A grotesque image of the creature appeared as she explained. Scroom. It can convert human screams into demonic energy. It transforms the sound waves of fear into demonic realm energy and feeds on it. So bringing someone who can scream loudly here would be effective. Suddenly, Dung Min-ho whipped his head around to look at Lim S, a realization dawning on him. Really? So you're finally useful for something. Caught off guard, his mouth started moving faster than his brain. Me? I'm a real man. I don't know the meaning of fear. I haven't screamed once since I was a kid. The moment those words left his mouth, Dung Min-ho didn't hesitate for a second and began dragging him inside, causing Lim S to cry out in terror, Wait! Meanwhile, Stit took her post with a serious expression. I'll guard the exit. You two be careful. The moment they stepped inside, they were greeted by terrifying, ghoulish faces. But Dung Min-ho just commented nonchalantly, Why are humans so scared of this stuff? It's all just for decoration. In contrast, Lim S was cowering and huddled close to him. Maybe it's like Stit said. I have a weird feeling. Something is in here. Dung Min-ho glanced at his trembling friend and reminded him slowly. That's what we came here to catch. Stop shaking. But his confidence didn't last long. A head suddenly shot past their faces, making both of them jump, and let out a blood-curdling scream. They both trembled, eyes wide as they stared at the head, practically clinging to each other. Just then, Lim S suddenly froze as he realized something. Did you just swear? You got scared too, didn't you? But Dung Min-ho's massive ego flared up as he yelled, Shut up! I was just pretending to see how the enemy would react. Then he too realized something and asked, That was your first scream, wasn't it? This made Lim S hesitate before answering. I guess so. Elsewhere, a pair of glowing blue eyes stared intently at them, but they were completely oblivious as they walked and talked. Are you sure this is the fastest way? Every time the demon bloodstone reacts to a wicked human, a little of its power is released. So if it reacts even more strongly, it means there's a demon nearby. The demon bloodstone will get even stronger. As they were discussing this, a monster suddenly lunged at them, saying, That last scream of yours was as sweet and clear as crimson blood. As pure as a newborn's first cry, Lim S was horrified and stammered, What is that thing? Scroom suddenly swung its massive hand toward them as it continued, Your scream is delicious. Scream for me. Seeing the sharp claws about to reach him, Lim S was so terrified he began to tremble uncontrollably. Scream for me. Is this the demon? Just as it was about to touch him, another, smaller hand suddenly grabbed its arm. Dung Min-ho looked at it with a stern expression as he spoke slowly. Don't touch him. He is my subject. Scroom's blue eyes shifted to him before it declared, Who are you? You are not human. Suddenly, Dung Min-ho's expression changed dramatically. His eyes glowed a demonic red as he slowly questioned, Scroom, I wonder, can I hear a scream from your mouth? Dung Min-ho stared coldly, a malicious smile spreading across his face. Then Scroom attacked him. What do you think you can do? Lim S was thrown back by the immense wave of power, screaming Dung Min-ho's name. Seeing this, the monster taunted gleefully. Yes, yes, just like that, keep screaming. In a difficult spot, he gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with fury. I can only use my left hand right now. He charged toward the monster. Seeing him run, Scroom watched him with a smirk. Where do you think you're going? Then, it unleashed a massive blast of energy directly at him. Engulfed by the immense power, he collapsed to the ground. Seeing this, Lim S screamed, Dung Min-ho, watch out. Lim S's terror only made the creature more gleeful. More. Scream louder. Dung Min-ho was furious that all he could do was scream. He roared, Shut your damn mouth. Your whining this whole time has only made it stronger. Terrified, Lim S covered his mouth and stammered, Sorry. The creature reveled in the scene, in the eyes filled with fear. It then unleashed another wave of power at Dung Min-ho. The impact was so powerful the ground itself roared. I'll turn them into headphones and wear them everywhere. I can't let it win like this. Dung Min-ho fought back. He looked at it and said, Who? He leaped in front of it, his hands already forming a technique. Me. Afraid? Dung Min-ho launched his attack. But it dodged, its voice dripping with mockery. Look at you flailing around with those stupid hands. Cute. You're so cute. Despite Dung Min-ho's attack, the creature was completely unharmed. He reconsidered, even my leaps are still at a human level. In this body, I can't beat this thing. Then, it snatched him into the air. From below, all Lim S could do was cry out his name, Dung Min-ho. He struggled to break free from its massive hand, but it wouldn't allow it, and began to generate a murderous aura from its finger. This is a sword forged from your friend's fear. If I use it to pry out your eyes, I wonder what kind of delicious scream you'll let out. No matter the situation, Dung Min-ho's will remained unbroken as he retorted, For a low-class demon like you, I won't scream. Hearing this, it attacked him right there in its grasp. Is that so? We'll see about that. The stream of power from its finger shot directly into his eye. Lim S froze, watching in horror. But nothing happened. After the attack, he was unharmed. Instead, he replied coldly, What's this? The eye that was attacked turned red. He gave a provocative smile. My vision has become clearer. Thinking back, it seems Wanbi set this up. I made a few adjustments to the demon bloodstone. The demonic energy sealed within the vengeful spirit is linked to your body. But that power won't be fully unleashed until the demon bloodstone is broken. With a piercing gaze, he looked straight at it and struck. Wanbei, you bastard. So you hid a way to break it like this? The creature was utterly astonished. Impossible. How can my scream sword fail to gouge out a mortal's eye? As he moved through his technique, he said, Because I'm not just a mere mortal. He then shouted an order to Lim S. Hey, Lim S, open your mouth and scream. Lim S was dumbfounded and retorted, Won't that just make it stronger? He shot back, Stop talking and scream. Lim S hesitated but made his decision. I don't know what he's thinking, but I guess I just have to trust Dung Min-ho. He took a deep breath and let out a massive scream. The creature was invigorated by the power. Such a delicious scream. And now, Dung Min-ho's seal was also broken. With this demon bloodstone, the seal on my right leg has shattered. Seeing Lim S scream, the creature grew even more joyful. You fool, you're just giving me more power. That arrogance will cost you. Not letting it celebrate any longer, Dung Min-ho retorted mockingly, as if he'd found its weakness. It seems your movements slow down a bit when you're eating screams, huh? Hearing this, the creature was shocked. What? Now was Dung Min-ho's chance to strike. Now then, let's hear you scream. Dung Min-ho leaped up, his gaze as sharp as 1,000 blades. The wave of power he generated was terrifying, and he was starting to enjoy it. I can feel it, now that the demon bloodstone's shell is broken. He continued his relentless assault. If I keep absorbing demonic energy from these creatures, my power will return faster. And then, it was as if he was finally unleashed. Just as I thought. My power has increased so much that my human ego can't even compare. His strength multiplied, he mused. Now that the demon bloodstone's seal is broken, all I need to do is keep absorbing demonic energy until my true power returns. Beside him, a worried Lim S could only ask, seeing that demon get absorbed by you, are you okay? Dung Min-ho turned to look at him, looking utterly triumphant. Okay? Of course. Let's go hunt more demons. Scene change. Dung Min-ho stood with her arms crossed, bowing her head before Han-su. Thank you for escorting me. The woman just looked at her and replied coldly, Take off your gear and don't go anywhere until the rehearsal. She replied timidly, yes, but her will returned, and she regained her confidence, clenching her fist and telling herself, I can do this. A woman watched from a camera, her hand clenching as if to crush something. Hansu, Mother is so excited, she said, as if going mad. If Mother transfers to it, will you still listen to me? Hansu replied nonchalantly, of course, Mother. Then shall we proceed immediately? Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho and Lim S quickly returned. Stit was waiting when she suddenly felt a familiar power approaching. She turned around in surprise. This blood force. Could it be? She saw him standing there, completely unharmed. Stit quickly said, congratulations on recovering your demonic power, Lord Ravis Vindica, the blood lord of all living things. She bowed low, her expression filled with reverence. To accompany you anywhere, I shall become my master's shadow and follow you to the ends of the earth. Dung Min-ho spoke coolly. Don't be so formal. Give me the location of the next target and pinpoint Mara. He glanced down from on high, so that I can make a pact with them as soon as I regain my strength. She raised her head, her expression serious as she answered clearly, yes, master. Somewhere, a human was enjoying a smoke. On his back was a purple demon, covered in holes, with a grotesque shape. This demon was named Apepsion. It fed on the demonic energy from human lungs. At that moment, Apepsion was smiling and urging, more, more. Just then, a human hand suddenly appeared and grabbed its head, causing its face to freeze. Dung Min-ho said in a deep voice, you're coming with me. Apep glanced back and stammered, what the hell are you doing? He didn't answer. His left eye glared, and the creature only had time to let out a single scream before it was absorbed. After swallowing the last of it, Dung Min-ho grimaced in disgust. Damn, that stinks. He turned and said, next. Not long after, another demon clinging to a drunkard was caught. This demon, named Azra, absorbed the memories of drunks. After absorbing it, Dung Min-ho said with annoyance, this one's disgusting too. Lim S peeked out from behind a utility pole, trembling, but still curious. I didn't know so many demons existed in the human world. But why do they have to absorb power from humans to survive? Dung Min-ho turned back to look at him, his left eye flashing with a chilling crimson light. When demons escape to the human world, they lose their demonic power after passing through the barrier. That's why every one of them has to find something to substitute for it in order to survive. Otherwise, they'd simply vanish. Seeing his eye, Lim S grew even more afraid. I see. So I guess demonic possession isn't just a superstition after all. Dung Min-ho raised his hand, blood energy enveloping his arm, his eyes contemplative. I think I have enough mana now. Should I give it a try? Lim S's jaw dropped, his eyes widening as he cried out, Dung Min-ho, what is that? He clenched his fist, and the blood energy rapidly condensed into a sword. A slight smile played on his lips as he explained softly, I managed to restore it, my damn Reiko. Though, this isn't its complete form yet. After Dung Min-ho retracted his blood energy, he suddenly asked worriedly, by the way, Dung Min-ho, isn't it dangerous for her to go scouting alone? He shook his head and replied, don't worry, her magical energy is so faint, they'd have to be paying very close attention to even detect it. On a tree branch, Stit, transformed into a bat, was hanging upside down, observing something. Before long, she yelled out, I'm starving. At this rate, I'm going to die of hunger. As soon as the words left her mouth, her eyes locked onto something. She spread her wings and swooped down, her tiny hand snatching a worm. Gotcha. But when she took a closer look, Stit gasped again. Wait, what is this thing? She held up the grotesque worm, and after a moment of examination, concluded that it was radiating Mara's magical energy. Realizing this, Stit immediately flew straight into the sky. I have to tell Master right away. Meanwhile, in a parking garage somewhere, a white car moved slowly, the sound of a commotion echoing from inside. Hansu hugged Dung Min-ho, boasting excitedly, Mom, I drugged her, clean and simple, aren't I great? In the front seat, Han Yong-do turned around, a sick smile on her face. Very good. Receiving the praise, he gleefully gave an order. Wai Yang-mu, forward, forward. At that moment, Dung Min-ho was still unconscious, completely unaware of what was happening. Back with Dung Min-ho, Stit was mumbling incoherently with the worm still in her mouth. After listening for a moment without understanding a single word, he snapped at her. Spit it out before you talk. I can't understand a thing you're saying. She transformed back into a human, spat out the worm, and said urgently, Master Ravis Vindica, please, look at this. Dung Min-ho glanced over, his face immediately contorting in disgust. What is that thing? It stinks. The worm wiggled. This is definitely one of Mara's parasites. It seems Mara lost her form when she crossed the barrier and has possessed a human host. Dung Min-ho's brow furrowed, his gaze becoming thoughtful. The appearance of these parasites proves that Mara needs a new body. Her demonic soul can't withstand being in a human body for long. Lim S stammered in shock. Then? To then? To then was the last attempt aimed at Dung Min-ho's body? He fell silent and nodded gravely. It's very likely. Mara has always been obsessed with things that are young and beautiful. At this, Dung Min-ho couldn't help but grit his teeth. Even so, she's still older than my mother. That old hag is elegantly insane. After hearing him, Lim S's attention shifted to something else. So, how old is your mother? Dung Min-ho tilted his head back and answered calmly, if you're counting in human years, she's about 6,375 years old. He froze, staring blankly. Then how old are you? Dung Min-ho frowned, as if trying to remember. How old am I? When I was young, my uncle let me observe the human world once. Recalling the pyramids, he continued. The humans were building something. At that time, Baka laughed loudly and said, do you see that? That's a temple humans are building to worship me. I am an entity that lower-class gods like you can never compare to. Understand, nephew? After hearing his bragging, Ravis bared his teeth and sneered. What's there to be proud of? Wanbi, however, pushed up his glasses and calmly retorted. Lord Baka, from what I understand, the things humans are building are not to worship you. They are followers who worship the god Ra from the celestial realm. His jaw dropped and his eyes widened. What? Why would they worship someone I defeated? The other one shrugged. How should I know? Hearing this, Baka didn't get worked up over it. He just threw his arms around both of them, his voice booming so loud it echoed across the heavens. Well, I won, so it's mine anyway. Back in the present, Lim S's voice trembled as he thought about Dung Min-ho's age. I heard the pyramids were built 4,000 years ago. This is far beyond anything I could have imagined. After waiting a moment, he asked anxiously, what should we do? Master Ravis Vindica's little sister could be devoured by Mara. He remained silent for a long time, his expression growing cold as he thought to himself, Dung Min-ho is about to be devoured. At a building deep in the forest, Han Yong-du was helped out of the car. She tilted her head up at the starry sky. On the night I was born, there wasn't a single star in the sky. After a moment, Han Su spoke up. Mom, is this the right place? Han Yong-du walked step by step up the stairs. She opened her mouth to speak. Yes. The space between the human and demonic worlds is hidden from the sight of the celestial realm. As she spoke, she suddenly stopped short, asking in surprise, what? Before them, a demon stood alone amidst rows of neatly arranged corpses. As soon as he saw them, the demon bared his teeth and asked, who dares to trespass here? Han Yong-du's eyes blazed. I am Mara Bullies, and this is my territory. The demon asked, startled, what? Mara? After a brief moment of shock, he regained his composure upon seeing her current state. You used to be one of the Black Thrones, but now you're just a fugitive who can't even use her mana properly, aren't you? I've already claimed this place, so get lost. Hansu paid no attention to Bavir Hill. He stepped forward and stomped on a corpse. What is this stuff? Bavir Hill quickly roared. Hey, watch where you're stepping. Han Yong-du let out a sigh. Fine, for now, I'm just a nobody. It has cost me so much just to maintain this human form. That's why I've made some preparations. My children. They will protect me. Bavir Hill frowned, his voice dripping with contempt. Half demon, half human children. A mother using her own kids as shields. How pathetic. She didn't take it as an insult. On the contrary, she declared proudly. Then what are they to you? I gave them life. It's only natural for them to fulfill their duties as children. Now, gather your smelly weeds and get out. He felt insulted. His teeth clenched tightly. Weeds? My sacred flowers. Why does no one recognize their value? As Bavir Hill charged forward, Wayang Mu made his move. He was still carrying Dung Min-ho in his arms, but he showed no mercy as he kicked Bavir straight in the face. Now, calm down. Han Yong-du praised him with a smile. Well done, my son. A long, long time ago, amid the wails of a newborn baby, the voice of a wicked woman echoed. Even if it means wasting it, drink it all and protect me, until I find that precious gem hidden in the human world, on the trail leading to that abandoned building. Lim S panted as he asked, Are you sure they went this way? Stit, in his cat form, ran ahead, sniffing the air as he replied, The putrid stench of Mara is getting stronger. She finally lifted her head and looked straight at the abandoned building. She's definitely in there. Lim S stopped and wiped his sweat, asking, There's an abandoned construction site here? Stit quickly transformed back into a person, slapped a bandage on his nose, and said, My nose is going into overdrive. Seeing she wasn't providing any more information, he turned to his side. Dung Min-ho, you have to promise you'll save Dung Min-ho. He pondered for a moment before saying, All right, let's go. As he slung an arm around his shoulder, Lim S yelped in surprise. Me too? I'll just be a burden. Dung Min-ho shot him a cold glare. A burden? You'll make a quality meat shield, won't you? His jaw dropped as he asked in horror, What? A meat shield? Just then, Stit hurriedly said, Lord Ravis Vindica, I pray for your victory against Mara. Good luck. Dung Min-ho turned his head back, his eyes cold. You're coming too. We need to even the numbers. She stammered in panic. Why do I have to go too? She knew there was no getting out of it. Stit couldn't stop trembling, wondering to himself if fame and fortune were really worth all this. I really should have just stayed under Lord Wanbei. Inside the building, Dung Min-ho was placed on a magic circle. Han Swangdu said with satisfaction, Good, now hurry. Bavir Hill, who had been arrogant at first, was now cowering under their control. Lady Mara of Greed, please spare me. You'll definitely need me if you plan on living in the human world. Wei Youngmu found this amusing and said with a grin, Mother, can I keep him? I've had some troublesome things to do lately. We could make him do chores. Bavir quickly nodded in agreement. Yes, yes. Give me any task, and I'll complete it as quickly as possible. At that moment, Dung Min-ho's sarcastic voice suddenly echoed through the room. It's true what they say. Scum always finds its way to other scum, doesn't it? A coward who betrayed his own clan, a thieving runaway driven by greed, and a pair of half-breed twins. The four of you make quite the motley crew. Han Swangdu turned around, her eyes still wide with fury. Who are you? Wei Youngmu replied with a look of surprise. He's Dung Min-ho's brother. He's with Dung Min-ho. Lim S trembled as he looked around. Are these all corpses? Is this real? He looked up at a corpse hanging on the wall. Wei Youngmu. I was wondering where he'd gone. So this is where he ended up. Lim S. If I hadn't saved you, that would have been your end. So from now on, you'd better do as I say. Got it? His face darkened, and his whole body trembled uncontrollably, thinking to himself how disgusting and terrifying this was. This was truly the world of demons. Bavir Hill looked up in surprise. So, you're the one who ruined my plan. Hearing this, Han Swangdu narrowed her eyes. I knew he was no ordinary man. Wei Youngmu smirked. See? I have a good eye for people. Mother, do you know who he is? Before he could finish, Stit jumped out and did something no one asked for. This is Lord Ravis Vindica. He was exiled to the human world for slaughtering Bavir Hill's entire clan. The one and only crown prince of the Demon King. Han Swangdu gritted her teeth, her face contorted with rage. What? Ravis Vindica, you criminal son of Ineas. Ravis Vindica, you son of a bitch who killed my entire family. As she spoke, an idea suddenly flashed in her mind. Wait, this is my chance. He's not that bloodthirsty butcher now, just a prisoner trapped in a mortal's body. I can avenge my clan with my own two hands. At this, Han Swangdu growled again. Ineas, you meddling woman. You bitch even sent your son to the human world to interfere with my life. Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho was also weighing his options. I can't fight all three of them at once with my current power. And that Bavir Hill guy could stab me in the back at any moment. I'll deal with him later. Then he said, Hey, Bavir. Get lost. Bavir's jaw dropped, and he immediately retorted, You still think you're in the demon realm? I'll kill you with my own hands. Before he could finish, Dung Min-ho roared, Shut your damn mouth, and get lost if you don't want to die here. Under his bloodthirsty aura, Bavir froze, sweat pouring down his face. Dung Min-ho continued, Announce to all the demons in the human world that I, Ravis Vindica, have descended as the Blood Lord. Tell them to stay put if they don't want to be hunted down and killed by me. Bavir Hill asked in shock. What? You can use mana in a human body? How is that possible? Damn it. He scrambled to his feet, half crawling, half running away. Feeling the stairs were too slow, Bavir smashed through a window and jumped straight out. Only then did Dung Min-ho turn and say, Hey, you old hag, if you want to be younger, you should experience some bone-deep pain yourself. Don't go around stealing other people's bodies. Han Swangdu asked angrily, Old hag? You insolent brat, how dare you speak to your elder in that tone? As she finished speaking, she coughed up several mouthfuls of blood. Seeing this, Hansu advised, Mother, don't push yourself. Wei Youngmu bit his finger. All right, I'm very curious about the child Ineas treasured so dearly. I wonder what her expression will be when she sees her son being torn to shreds by my own child. Dung Min-ho smirked, his eyes growing cold. I'm also curious about something. What expression a jealous old hag who spent her entire life in envy will make when her child is killed by that same woman's son? She raised an eyebrow and shouted, Hansu, Wei Youngmu, which one of you will be the first to bring me that brat's tongue? Wei Youngmu summoned his weapon and answered with supreme confidence. That would be me, of course. Just wait a moment, mother. Hansu bowed her head in silence, summoning a pair of swords into her hands as they both charged forward. She said again, Wei Youngmu, get lost. He retorted loudly, My Venorin is more than enough to shut that brat up. They both swung their weapons at the same time. Dung Min-ho calmly dodged to the side. Hansu continued her attack, swiping with her twin swords, and he drew his own sword to parry. Just then, Wei Youngmu suddenly shouted, Hansu, get out of the way. Hey, you're blocking me, she said in a low voice. Shut up and support me from behind. Dung Min-ho took a step back, thinking to himself, they have no teamwork. I can exploit this. With that thought, he spoke. At this rate, are you sure one of you can kill me before you two fall apart? Wei Young-mu was nearly hit by a sword sweep. He yelled in anger, be careful. You almost hit me. Dung Min-ho retreated again, calmly analyzing. They're blocking each other's attacks. Han-soo is supremely confident, while Wei Young-mu is overly cautious. A perfect duo, falling apart. He raised his sword to block a blow from Han-soo, and her blade deflected, coincidentally striking Wei Young-mu's mace. He gritted his teeth and said, again. Han-soo also frowned, clicking her tongue in annoyance. Seizing the opportunity, Dung Min-ho swung his sword in a wide arc. The blade slashed across her waist, sending a spray of blood into the air. He thought to himself again, even for half-breeds, they're strong. What the hell did Mara do to them? Seeing his sister get hit, Wei Young-mu suddenly burst out laughing. Serves you right. This bastard is mine, Wei Young-mu. The chain mace shot out, striking Dung Min-ho's right hand. Han-soo seized the opportunity to charge forward. I'll be the one to take his head. He switched his sword to his left hand, his calm gaze fixed intently on her. Seeing this, Han-soo was taken by surprise. He dodged at the last second. At that moment, Wei Young-mu also gave chase with his chain mace. Ravis Vindica, don't you dare die yet. You have to die by my hand. With that, he swung his mace violently. At the same time, Han-soo slashed down with both her swords. Dung Min-ho hastily blocked the blow, but the sheer force brought him to his knees. Han-soo ground her teeth, snarling, die, just die. Dung Min-ho quickly shoved her away, already calculating in his mind, I don't have enough mana to take on both of them. This is a cheap shot, but I'll try provoking them. And so, he called out, hey, your older sister is pretty strong, huh? Wei Young-mu glared and shouted, what? Who are you calling older sister? I was born 18 minutes before her, you bastard. I'll kill you. Seeing him charge forward, Dung Min-ho was stunned. It actually worked? He immediately retreated, effortlessly dodging the blow. Seeing her brother's actions, Han-soo furiously yelled, you idiot, what the hell are you thinking charging in like that? He furiously shot back, shut your mouth. I'll be the one to offer this bastard's corpse to mother first. Dung Min-ho's eyes narrowed with calculation. Good, he's attacking more fiercely now, which means he's right in my range. Not far away, Stit spoke as she fought. Mara of the 12 Black Seats was once someone I respected. To think that you've become so grotesque and unable to control your own greed, it's deeply disappointing. Han Yong-do bellowed, how dare you call me grotesque, you lowly beast. As soon as the words left her mouth, Stit was struck by one of the woman's tentacles. Now, she thought. Lim S took the chance to rush toward the magic circle. The moment he touched its protective barrier, he cried out in pain. It's burning hot. No, wait. It's freezing cold, he thought. He pushed with all his might, gritting his teeth and yelling, Dung Min-ho, open your eyes. Meanwhile, Stit was attacking with all her might, thinking, I'll hold her off for a bit. Lim S, hurry and save Dung Min-ho. But the one she was counting on was thrown back by the magic circle's barrier. Lim S looked at his hands. They were burned to a bloody red, and the searing pain shot through his nerves. I'm just human, he thought, losing confidence. There's nothing I can do. But then, remembering a happy moment the three of them shared, Lim S was suddenly filled with renewed strength. He gritted his teeth, thinking, even so, I won't give up. Lim S raised his fists again, punching straight at the barrier and yelling, Dung Min-ho, no matter what happens, we will save you. Just as his fist made contact with the barrier, Stit was sent flying. Han Yong-do sneered, time to end this game, don't you think? Stit struggled to her feet, gritting her teeth. Even in that decrepit body, she's still this powerful. I guess her title as one of the 12 Black Seats isn't just for show. Han Yong-do swung her tentacles, shooting out a volley of purple projectiles. What were you thinking? That this worn-out body would make me an easy target? Stit was struck and thrown backward. Pinned to the wall by one of the projectiles, she screamed, Arr! It hurts, Han Yong-do continued. Watch closely and witness the fate of these insects. Seeing her approach the magic circle, Stit cried out in terror. No, Lim S, get out of there. Hearing her cry, he looked up just as blood sprayed from his body. Lim S writhed in agony on the cold floor. The witch, Han Yong-do, stared down at him with a grotesque smile and taunted. I'm going to use you as nutrients along with that little brat, so just wait right there. He tried to move, a sense of dread washing over him. I can't move my body. Just then, she began to cast her spell on Dung Min-ho, her voice filled with excitement. I've wasted far too much time on these brats. Then, she bellowed with satisfaction. I swear upon the blade that cleaves the very soul. Oh, moon of vows, I offer up this rotting flesh. Let the fire of greed burn through my veins and forge a new path. Rip open the gates of the heart and grant me a new life. At that moment, Her eyes flashed with a sinister light as she roared, "Oh, darkness, heed my call. My vow is complete." At that same moment, Dung Min-ho took notice and cried out in alarm, "No! Where did that blood-red blade come from?" At the same time, his eyes turned unnaturally cold. Then, he swung his sword forcefully at the pair in front of him. A single slash was enough to drain a huge amount of their strength. Wee Young-moo shouted, trying to stop her. "Stop right there!" But Han-soo stubbornly yelled back, "No, I have to be the first." Suddenly, a magical cord wrapped tightly around his body. He was violently jerked back by an invisible force, his mouth somehow sealed shut with thick strips of tape. His body was dragged into a dark corner of the room. There, Jin Jae-hee was silently holding him captive, whispering provocatively, "How dare you two bully our precious Ravis Vindica Appa like this?" Suddenly, a huge amount of slime began to pour out from somewhere. It was pouring from Maravelius's mouth directly into Dung Min-ho's. Her body took in all the slime, and after a slight hiccup, the fluid suddenly surged back up, before slowly trickling back down her body. Abruptly, her eyes snapped open, perfectly healthy, and she spoke in a cunning voice. "At last, I have the perfect vessel." At that same moment, the old woman's body collapsed to the floor. The new Dung Min-ho raised her arms, admiring them. This fresh body, this sensation. She then ran her hands over her new body and said with a perverted tone, "This is it. I will savor this beauty for all eternity." Seeing this, Lim S screamed, "No!" Stit also cried out in despair, "Dung Min-ho." The commotion distracted Dung Min-ho in his fight, causing Han-soo to snap. "What are you looking at?" He cursed in frustration. "Damn it. I'm too late." Just then, Jin Jae-hee looked at him with an obsessed gaze and whispered, "Ravis Vindica Oppa. Those beautiful lips. Even your new look is so alluring. Appa." Then, he used his own arm to block the blade. Hiding behind a wall, she tried to snap herself out of her daze. "Get a grip," she told herself. "Veltia Oppa is in danger right now." But then, a shy worry crept in. "But if I make a move, Ravis Vindica Oppa will see me." She squealed with embarrassment. Just imagining it is too much. But still, I can't just stand here and admire him forever. What should I do? Meanwhile, the captive Wah Young-moo saw his chance and began to crawl away. Just then, Han-soo spotted him. "Wee Young-moo," she cried, concerned. "Who did this to you?" In that instant, he quickly devised a plan. "This is my chance." He then lunged straight for Han-soo, causing her to scream, "Mother, that idiot Wee Young-moo." Just then, the new Dung Min-ho turned her attention to them, her body suddenly oozing a strange slime. Wah Young-moo's voice echoed from within the body. "Sue, what are you doing down there?" Her arm released him, and he immediately shot up, yelling in frustration, "Where is that little brat? Where the hell did she come from?" She replied with a cunning smile, Well, it seems we have a little mouse." Then, she proudly showed off her new body. "Mommy, are you done already? How do I look? Am I pretty?" He remarked, "Mom, you don't look like yourself at all." Seeing this, Lim S whispered in despair, "So, she's really taken over Dung Min-ho's body. Is it really over?" Just then, the imprisoned Stit hurriedly spoke up. "Master Ravis Vindica, there's still a chance. Dung Min-ho's soul hasn't completely vanished yet." Hearing this, he gasped. "What?" She struggled to continue. "Tonight is the new moon, a night when the moon hides itself. The barrier between the human and demon worlds grows thin. Magic, contracts, and even souls become incredibly unstable." As she spoke, the sky seemed to darken. "Until this night ends, Mara's ritual isn't truly complete." She shouted this while Mara's original body lay motionless nearby. Dung Min-ho's soul must still be in there. Suddenly, Dung Min-ho's eyes widened in terror. She began to struggle, crying out, "Dung Min-ho, Appa, my body is moving on its own. Please, save me." Hearing her cry, he was thrown into confusion. Is that really Dung Min-ho's soul? But then, she started to laugh menacingly. Maravelius had resurfaced, taunting him arrogantly. "How amusing. What do you think? My impression of Dung Min-ho is perfect, isn't it?" Enraged, he roared, "You dare play games with me?" She gave an arrogant command. "Wah Young-moo, my Sue. I'm tired of this. Just kill them all now." Hearing his mother's order, he charged forward with a manic excitement. "Yes, mother. We'll finish them off for good. You go find that little mouse from before and kill her." Meanwhile, he grew frustrated, swinging his blade wildly as he thought to himself, "I can't believe I'm struggling against these low-class descendants. To be humiliated like this." In another corner, a woman gloated, "You've all waited long enough, haven't you? It's time for me to have a feast and regain my power." At this, Lim S's eyes filled with frustrated tears as she continued her cunning taunts. "Now, who shall I savor first?" A rare flicker of fear flashed in Lim S's eyes. Suddenly, a strange ball landed right at the woman's feet, making her cry out in surprise. What is this? She stared down at the ball. Unexpectedly, a tiny doll jumped out. It turned its ice-cold gaze up at her. The sight made her recoil in terror. He watched, stunned. At that moment, a thick, murky smoke filled the room. Maravelias covered her nose, grumbling. What's going on? What is that foul stench? Suddenly, a figure shot through the smoke. It was Jin Jae-hee. She rushed over to the girl and pulled out 2 metal rods. She then attached 2 large mechanical hands onto her arms, causing the girl to gasp. What are these? While she was still bewildered, Jin Jae-hee quickly finished her work. Then, Jin Jae-hee zipped away, coldly ordering, "Use these." The girl hesitated. "You're Jin Jae-hee." At that moment, Lim S was still trapped in some kind of slime. She appeared beside him, pulling him up and whispering, "Human, use this to help him." Lim S was so startled he could only stammer, "Who are you?" She then vanished, leaving a gun hovering in the air before him. Stit examined her new hands, marveling, "These are weapons. Reinforced with demonic energy, aren't they? How did Jin Jae-hee get something like this?" He was equally shocked. "What is this? Why did she give it to me?" he wondered, his hands turning over the gun she left for him. Suddenly, a pink smoke filled the room, and he cried out. It felt like he'd lost control of his own head, and he yelled in pain. "My head feels so weird. My heart's racing." Suddenly, his pupils contracted. His mind was a chaotic mess. His head spun, and he felt like he was suffocating. Meanwhile, Maravelias, surrounded by the poisonous gas, roared defiantly. "Where did you get that scrap metal? You think I can't see through your pathetic little tricks?" The girl lunged out of the smoke, slashing at her with her sharp hands, but Maravelias parried the attack instantly, yelling in annoyance. "So you snuck a little toy in here? Ha! You really think that's going to change anything?" The girl shot back defiantly. "A toy? We're about to find out." Maravelias let out a savage roar. "The result is obvious. You're just a low-class, cast-off monster." She aggressively shot back. "That doesn't mean much coming from someone who threw away their very being out of pure, endless greed." Suddenly, a foot stepped forward. Maravelias' voice turned strange and cunning. "Well then, I suppose it's not just some ordinary toy after all, is it?" Then, raising a monstrous arm, she screamed, "It doesn't matter. I'll devour all of you just the same." The girl watched the tentacles with growing alarm. "They're getting thicker. I can't sever them." She started looking for an opportunity, trying to come up with a plan. Mara is adapting to the new body. The more time we waste, the more disadvantaged we'll be. As Mara grew more grotesque, she let out an arrogant threat. "I wonder what a fresh, struggling demonic beast tastes like. Will it be delicious?" Hearing this, the girl grew even more desperate. Just then, a cord extending from Maravelias' abdomen caught her eye. It was an umbilical cord connecting to Yongdu. As she was being cornered, she came to a conclusion. That's it. Dung Min-ho is only a normal human. Seeing Mara's original body lying defenseless over there, she realized she can't absorb all of Mara's power in one go. Even as Maravelias attacked relentlessly, she had already figured it out. "We have to sever the umbilical cord connected to Yongdu's body. To do that, I have to somehow destroy that magic circle." Elsewhere, Lim S had finally managed to calm down. Realizing his breathing was returning to normal, he held the gun, thinking to himself, What am I supposed to do with this thing?" Then, his eyes fell upon Maravelias' original body, which was being protected by a magic circle. His eyes darted over to her as she fought. He wondered, are those tentacles connected to Yongdu's corpse? He froze as the realization hit him. In that case, the transfer into Dung Min-ho's body isn't complete yet. That magic circle, it must be there to protect her original body until the possession is complete. His determination grew. There's still time, if I can just destroy that magic circle. Suddenly, a strange light gleamed in his eyes. He froze in place as he realized something. What? I can see the structure of the magic circle. Is it just geometry after all? He lifted his hand, tracing invisible lines in the air as if making a calculation. Geometry is made from shapes, and shapes can be converted into formulas, which means a magic circle is nothing more than a construct calculated by numbers, he concluded, his hand still moving through the air. This circle is maintaining the connection between Yongju's corpse and Dung Min-ho. I need to solve the formulas and find its weak point. His hand suddenly began to quickly write out strange mathematical formulas. He calculated frantically, using his brain's full capacity to analyze it. As he analyzed, he realized the core of the magic barrier was a third-degree polynomial. The mana flowed in an S-curve. The core of the seal lies at its extreme values. In that case, the derivative. Seeing this, Stit, who was struggling to fight, was also stunned. Is that a magic formula? Is Lim S actually deciphering the magic circle right now? She wondered, all while resisting the power of the hands. Was S able to interpret magic thanks to the weapon Jin Tae-hee gave him? Meanwhile, that woman was still lost in ecstasy, screaming relentlessly. "Come here, you little mouse." She began to regain her will to live. No matter what, while S is deciphering the magic circle, I have to buy as much time as possible. At that moment, his hands were still relentlessly solving the difficult equations, gradually reaching the conclusion as he converted the magic circle's structure into a matrix. The main diagonal of the monovector is a symmetric matrix. Then he smiled and said with satisfaction, "If I can find the eigenvalue, there will be only a single weak point." Then his eyes lit up with excitement. "Found it. F of x equals 0. Its weak point is exposed." Finally, he confidently raised his gun and declared, "Magic circle. Your minimum value is." Then, a bullet shot out from the barrel as he cheered, "Your own destruction." Immediately after, he was so ecstatic he jumped for joy. The immense power of the bullet pierced through the magic shield. What? It slowly burrowed deep inside, gradually reaching her body. It was only then that she realized what was happening. Screaming, "What?" Lim S was sent flying back with his gun. She shouted in despair, "How? How could you possibly break my magic circle?" But he didn't care, as he was still reveling in his own elation. "I calculated it." The formula was proven correct. He thought about the gun and concluded that it worked just as his calculations had predicted. Then, lost in thought, he passed out. The magic circle had crumbled, and in response, the old woman shrieked in a frenzy. "How could these weaklings possibly do this? My physical body hasn't even been fully transferred yet." Just then, a shout rang out. "Great job, S. Leave the rest to me." It was Stit's voice. She charged straight at the body while the woman was still shrieking. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" She ignored her and stomped right on the umbilical cord, frantically clawing at the cord. The woman stood there, screaming in rage. "How dare you try to pull me out?" She was hit by a powerful attack from the woman. Her body was sent flying as the furious woman rushed to the original body, shouting in desperation, "I can't let everything fall apart now." She fumbled with the body and cried out in agony, "My body, my noble body. I can't lose even a single piece of it." Though she'd been thrown back, she managed to retort, "Greed grows like a tree, but in the end, it will collapse under its own weight. And when something breaks like that, filth will inevitably cling to it, layer after layer." Hearing this, the old woman became even more enraged and threatened loudly, "What the hell are you talking about? You inferior beast, I'll chew you down to the bone." Stit lectured her wearily. "Now, this thing and your greed will burn together, won't they?" Just then, as she called out, Sir Ravis Vindica, Dung Min-ho, began to appear in his monstrous form. Despite his body being held upside down, Wee Young Moo kept apologizing. "Mom, I'm sorry. That thing." He absorbed the red smoke and suddenly grew stronger. Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho saw this, and her eyes widened in astonishment as she thought, "No way. Was that smoke the catalyst?" Meanwhile, elsewhere, Jin Tae-hee watched slowly with obsessive eyes. The scene shifts to a past event where a woman held a huge syringe, her thoughts racing, the one who was sealed in the demon world. "Thank goodness I managed to get some blood from Ravis's body. I was planning to keep it forever, but there's no other choice. Oh Ravis, my friends told me that a special serum was implanted in your new body, and if it absorbs blood from your original body, you'll be able to regain a part of your true power. So please, Ravis, accept my gift and stir things up just like you used to." Right then, Dung Min-ho's eyes were wide and dark as he spoke. "It's been a long time since I felt this. Invigorated." Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho suddenly became agitated, screaming furiously, "You useless fools! You can't even handle a simple task like this?" But he showed no mercy, suddenly yanking that guy, Hansu, by his shirt, then pulling hard on the collar around Hansu's neck, making her cry out. The two of them, their prey making them grit their teeth in frustration, suddenly spun around in unison and quickly broke free from Dung Min-ho's grasp. The moment he broke free, he flew at him like a madman. "Thanks, Mom. Now I'm going to enjoy killing him." She didn't hesitate either, charging at him from the other side while roaring, "DDD." Yet, Dung Min-ho easily blocked both attacks with his bare hands. The possessed Dung Min-ho then flew straight at him in a rage, letting out a taunt. "Ravis Vindica, you bastard who calls himself the Demon Prince. Why would you risk your life for these pathetic humans? She's not even your real sister." But Dung Min-ho didn't answer immediately, instead mumbling, "That cake." Then his eyes blazed as he growled. It was absolutely delicious. His words made her eyes go wide with shock. "What?" On the contrary, he continued to talk about the past, the cake that this body's little sister gave me to eat. It tasted like nothing of this world. It had the taste of heaven. This made the guy on the other side get irritated and cut in with a sneer. "What the hell are you talking about? You're a demon. Why are you talking about heaven?" But Dung Min-ho remained firm and asked, "Have the two of you ever fed each other cake?" Han-soo, who was nearby, chimed in with a rude tone. "Are you nuts? The only way that would happen is if we were throwing it at each other's faces." His hands continued their fluid attacks as he replied with an air of indifference. "Is that so?" A moment later he slashed a clean line across her throat. The wound wasn't shallow. It was deep enough to send out a spray of blood. Droplets of blood splattered onto Dung Min-ho's face and even his mouth. Without a moment's hesitation, he licked it clean. But the moment he tasted it, his eyes suddenly shot wide open. Dung Min-ho's mind was once again pulled back into the past, but this time, it was Han-soo's past, back when she was still an innocent child. "Mom, I got a perfect score." Back then, a tiny Haeon would chirp happily. "Mom, I cleaned the whole house. I'm so hungry." But Han Suong-do would just snap, "Shut up. If you're hungry, go drink some water." She would then immediately leave, slamming the door behind her, not forgetting to curse at the useless brats. Her words cut deep into the two children, instantly killing all their motivation. They'd just drop everything, the schoolwork, the cleaning, and they would sit there sullenly, thinking, "Nothing we do will ever make Mom praise us." The scene shifts to a coffee shop. Han Suong-do watches the bustling crowd, complaining nonstop. "If it weren't for you kids, men would be flocking to me. Look at that fake smile. It's disgusting. Yang, honey, Mommy really doesn't like that girl. You understand, don't you?" Beside her, Han Seo followed her mother's gaze and suddenly became unusually quiet. Without a moment's hesitation, she stood up and started walking. Her steps suddenly quickened, and she deliberately slammed right into the other girl. This infuriated the girl, who yelled, "Damn it, what the hell?" Han Suong-do rushed over, asking, "Oh my, are you all right?" The girl didn't stop cursing. "Damn it, this is so irritating. What about my clothes?" Meanwhile, their mother apologized profusely as she pulled her away. "I'm so sorry. I'll buy you a new outfit to change into." Then, as they left, Han Suong-do said cheerfully, "Come on, kids." She put her arms around both children and continued, "Now, what should we do?" Then, a satisfied smirk spread across her lips. She immediately hugged Han Seo tightly and exclaimed, "Our Yang is so kind, isn't she? So adorable. Did you see her face? Acting all high and mighty. Serves her right." This made Han Seo freeze up. Rejoicing inwardly, "Mom finally praised me." Seeing this, Wee Young Moo Woo grew competitive and shouted, "Mom, let me do it next time. I can do it too." Hearing this, Han Suong-do didn't discourage him at all. Instead, she said, all right, you can try next time." Han Seo stared at her mother's pleased expression and came to a realization. If I torture the person Mom is jealous of, she will praise me. And that thought carried into her adulthood, as Han Seo stood over the collapsed body of a woman. If I beat up the person Mom hates, with Han Suong-do standing beside her smiling brightly, she thought, Mom will praise me. And right on cue, her mother showered her with praise. "Oh, how is our Seo so good at this? Do you really do everything Mommy tells you to?" Even as blood dripped from her blade, Han Seo just answered, "Yes." Standing over the corpse, she explained softly, "Everything you command." This delighted her mother, who turned and cupped her face. "So cute. So you can kill again next time, right, my precious?" She replied softly, "Yes, I will, if I kill the person you order me to." Han Seo rested her head in her mother's lap, her mind convinced. Mom will love me. A smile spread across her lips, a truly happy smile. Back in the present, after reading those memories, Dung Min-ho remarked sarcastically, "You've really raised these children well." Meanwhile, the now deranged Han Seo was hell-bent on killing him. Die! Die like I told you to! Die! From the other side, Weang Mu Wu was screaming the same thing. "I'll kill him! I'll kill him first!" Nearby, Han Suong-do roared in encouragement. "That's right! Kill him! Hurry up and kill him! Get that bastard out of my sight!" Seeing this, Dung Min-ho swung his sword while thinking, the true nature of these demons is so vile. Even in a 2-on-1 fight, he easily overpowered them both. Then, Dung Min-ho's eyes widened with a savage look. "I acknowledge you as a demon worthy and qualified to die by my hand." Recognizing that expression, she was stunned, thinking, his eyes, they've changed. She instinctively clenched her teeth as she thought further. It was just like, suddenly an image of his uncle appeared beside him, shocking Han Seo, the beast of the battlefield from back then. On the other side, a heavily injured Wee Young Moo Woo screamed miserably, "Damn it, my arm!" Beside him, Han Seo paid him no mind and even sneered, "You idiot, you should have been more careful." Suddenly, Dung Min-ho lunged forward, pointing out, "You're worried because he's your brother, aren't you?" While she was still reeling, Wee Young Moo Woo screamed accusations from behind her. "This is all your fault, Han Seo. You piece of trash. You were supposed to do your job properly." Han Seo, who had been fighting Dung Min-ho, glared back at him upon hearing that. "What did you just say?" Wee Young Moo Woo grew even more frantic. shrieking, "Kill him! Kill this bastard right now, or I'll kill you first." This made Hanso freeze in disbelief. "You'd really?" Dung Min-ho took advantage of their argument, swinging his sword and leaping up. "That's right. Keep fighting amongst yourselves. You idiots." She finally realized what was happening, her eyes widening in surprise, but without a single wasted motion, she quickly grabbed him. "Huh?" At that exact moment, Dung Min-ho swung his sword, and Han Seo shoved Wei Yang-mu Wu in front of the blade to take the full force of the attack. He immediately crumpled to his knees, letting out a piercing scream. The pain coursing through him made it impossible to stand as he yelled, "It hurts!" The sensation numbed his body, and he threw his head back, screaming, "Mom!" Seeing his pathetic state, Han Suong-du shouted curses. "Useless to the very end. Seo, leave that brat and get over here to fight." She was still close to Dung Min-ho, and upon hearing her mother's command, she obeyed. "Yes, Mom." Wei Yang-mu Wu, now collapsed on the ground, cried out in anguish, "No! Don't leave me!" He used his last breaths to plead desperately, "Mom, Mom." But Han Seo paid him no attention, focused solely on destroying Dung Min-ho. "Die! Stop your useless resistance." However, his agile body allowed him to swiftly dodge every attack. Meanwhile, his mind was constantly working. That's one down. But looking at the motionless body, he continued to calculate. Mara's possession of the body is almost complete. If I waste any more time, young Dung Min-ho won't be able to return. I don't know how much longer this body can hold out. Suddenly, Dung Min-ho grabbed her blade, his resolve firm. But I have to try. He immediately wrenched the sword from Han Seo's grasp. His other arm swiftly wrapped around her waist, while his free hand tossed the sword aside and moved towards her head. Without hesitation, Dung Min-ho leaned down and bit hard into Han Seo's neck. Despite her pained screams, he focused intently on the blood. This sight made young Dung Min-ho, whose body was being possessed, watch with wide, horrified eyes. "No. What the hell is this?" After he released her, she couldn't stand straight, and then, completely drained of strength, she collapsed to the ground. As for Dung Min-ho, after drinking the blood, his power seemed to be upgraded. "I will push this blood to the absolute limit this body can handle, and increase my power instantly." Immediately, he charged at her, swinging his arm in her direction. Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho fiercely defended herself with her tentacles. "Don't you come near me, you bastard." However, he didn't stop at all, getting closer and closer. Realizing her attacks were useless, she grew even more frantic. "Why won't you die, Ravis Vindica?" On the other hand, contrary to his determined effort, Dung Min-ho was actually gritting his teeth in agony. "It feels like my entire body is disintegrating. This vessel can't handle it." Veins popped on his arm as he continued that train of thought, feeling as if he was being torn to death. Instantly, Dung Min-ho weaved through the mass of tentacles and lunged toward her. "How I've missed this." Seeing his skill, Dung Min-ho's eyes widened, and now he was right beside her after his evasive maneuvers. Realizing she couldn't escape, she screamed, "No, you bastard! Are you trying to ruin everything at the last minute?" But Dung Min-ho didn't answer, instead swinging his arm and swiftly slamming Dung Min-ho's body to the ground, making her scream. His hands squeezed her neck tightly, ignoring her fierce screams. "Let go of me! How dare someone like you!" But he didn't let go, instead slowly affirming, "It's over. Your filthy life is finally finished." Dung Min-ho continued to struggle, her voice laced with disbelief. "I can't die. I can't die by the hands of someone like you." But Dung Min-ho showed no mercy and grabbed a nearby staff. "This is my final warning. If you voluntarily leave Dung Min-ho's body right now, I will spare your life." Hearing that chance, she was stunned into speaking. "What? You'll spare me?" "Yeah." His aura was just like his father's as he continued. "That's right, I, Ravis Vindica, swear on the honor of my father, the great demon king." But suddenly, another thought popped into Dung Min-ho's head. "I see. This guy is afraid I'll self-destruct if I don't leave this body. It's a shame to lose this vessel, but what's important is to survive and find another one." Then, she let out a crazed, triumphant laugh and raised her voice. "Of course, the lineage of the great demon king wouldn't lie when using their family's honor. Lower your weapon. If you do that, I'll do what you want. I really have no other choice now." Seeing her desperate act made Dung Min-ho freeze, and the magic staff in his hand vanished in a puff of smoke. He slowly got off her and stood up straight, then said expectantly, "Now, get out of there." After being released, Dung Min-ho rubbed her sore neck and grimaced before replying. "Fine." Suddenly, a bewitching smile spread across her lips. Instantly, the monster's soul shot out. "I'm coming out, you fool." Seeing this, Dung Min-ho gave a smug, interested smirk, then swung his demonic hand and used it to snatch the soul. Only then did it realize what was happening and begin to struggle violently. "What? This arm? This isn't a human arm." Still smiling, he began to clarify everything. "As one of the 12 Black Thrones, You're pretty quick to believe someone's words, aren't you? To be honest, I didn't even know how to get you out of Dung Min-ho's body. The creature's eyes widened in horror. What? You bastard. So it was all a lie? Even when you swore on your family's honor and your father? Suddenly, Dung Min-ho held the monster high in his hand, revealing his cunning. You see, I only care about upholding my own honor. The purple-eyed, green-skinned monster screamed and thrashed in angry agony. No, my body. That's my body. I don't want to leave. Let me go. Dung Min-ho sneered in contempt. What a pathetic sight. The monster, now free from her body, was immediately caught by him and shrieked. Wait, hold on. Please, save me. I'll do anything you command. The monster writhed and screamed. Please. But then, from behind, Hansu stood up, staggering as she grabbed her sword. That's right. Well done, Dung Min-ho. Hurry up and kill this bastard. Before she could attack, Hansu stabbed her through the chest. So cunning. Trying to take all the credit for yourself again? What a bloody scene. I won't let that happen. Then both of them collapsed onto the cold ground. Seeing this, the monster went insane. You bastard. Did you just throw away my last chance like that? Dung Min-ho looked at it coldly and replied, They called you mother with all that desperation, only to die so ridiculously. The monster seemed to grow even more shameless, speaking without a hint of embarrassment. Please, I beg you, I won't touch this girl, and I'll move to another body, okay? Your mother and I were once as close as sisters. His face was indifferent, his eyes emotionless as he looked at it. It quickly explained, You don't believe me? It's true. Ask Aeneas. She called me big sister and always treated me well. Hearing this, Stit couldn't take it anymore and spoke up. Your children just died, and yet in the end, you still only think of yourself. Are you really a mother? It screamed and begged frantically. I can just birth more things like them again. Ravis Vindica, listen to me. Unable to hear any more, Dung Min-ho sliced its neck off. Your reputation as a former member of the 12 Black Thrones is worthless, isn't it? It groaned in pain. Ravis Vindica. To think you would humiliate me like this. At this moment, it was filled with furious hatred. And to die at the hands of Aeneas' son. Of course, Aeneas. Crying and wailing, it screamed. I refuse to accept this. I'll kill you. He stomped his foot, finishing it off. It slowly disintegrated, the blood magic flowing back into his eye. It's over. The battle is over. Stit approached and said, I knew it. You did it. Master Ravis Vindica. He looked at his hand, which was being consumed by blood magic, and thought, she was a former member of the 12 Black Thrones. After all, her power is immense. He paused. Taking a handkerchief from his coat, he covered his nose. There's a vile, filthy stench. We've wasted our time. Stit asked about the two who had died. Master Ravis Vindica. What about that pair of twins? If Mara hadn't invaded the human world, she continued, her tone filled with pity for their fate. Could they have lived happily with their real mother? Dung Min-ho thought for a moment, then said, We'll never know. Looking at Dung Min-ho, his sister lying unconscious before him, he continued, even if their parents weren't demons. Then, thinking of Dung Tae-sik, a man unworthy of being a father, he went on. Children can still die because of their parents' greed. From behind a door, a figure with a face resembling Hai's looked toward him with an admiring gaze. All right, time to get out of here. But he'd been spotted. He called out after her. Over there, she flinched. Seeing her scramble to run away, he said, I've already seen you, so you might as well come out. She was mortified. No, please, just pretend you didn't see me. Ignoring her, he lazily walked away. Veltia. His heart skipped a beat when he heard the name. Veltia was a famous weaponsmith from a traditional clan in the demon world. In disbelief, she continued, the youngest child of the Mountano clan, the one who was showered with all their love and affection. You mean that, Veltia? The genius smith, said to appear only once every 3,000 years? With a thoughtful look, he asked her directly. So, why did you follow me all the way here? She jumped, stammering an explanation. Follow you? Wanbi told me to. He said I was a gift for you. Sir, the surprise is over, so I'll be going now. After saying that, she tucked her tail between her legs and ran. He stared after her, completely baffled. Of all the noble ladies, she was known as the most reckless and arrogant, famous for constantly chasing after her master, Ravis Vindica. But I'm sure that was Jin's face, wasn't it? Dung Min-ho ground his teeth in anger. Why would he do that? Wanbei must have put Veltia's soul into Jin's body. His eyes sharpened with bitter rage. This just made things more complicated. Dung Min-ho crossed his arms, seething at him. That damn Wanbi. If I return to hell, Wanbei will be your subordinate. You can do whatever you want to him. Oh, why do you look so thrilled about that? And for how long? He announced irritably. Indefinitely. Meanwhile, in the kingdom where Wanbei was enjoying his afternoon tea, Aeneas and Baka were having a lively chat. Baka said, Are you surprised? To think he'd resort to blood-sucking. That's my nephew. All right, Aeneas replied with pity. How cruel. She then asked, "So what did Ravis Vindica do after that?" He spoke with a look of admiration for him. Rumor has it that with that blood-sucking power, he severed her tentacles and then crushed her head. Baka gestured dramatically, his tone mocking. "Oh my, it was so cruel I dare not speak of it further. My poor, dear sister." He said to Aeneas seriously, "If you're going to like it, then really like it. Don't just purse your lips like that." She agreed. You're right. I do like it. Anyway, just stop using Ravis Vindica." Her eyes shot a sharp glare at Baka, her voice laced with irritation. "You skillfully handled that woman, and that's enough. I can't get a single day of peace knowing my son is in the human world." Baka dodged the subject, pointing to the teacup in her hand. "Is that tea you're drinking the precious specialty from the George family? You've been drinking it for ages." Knowing he was deliberately changing the topic, she retorted flatly, "That has nothing to do with this." Realizing he couldn't escape, he replied casually to placate her. "I'm just kidding. Ravis Vindica can use his true power now. You don't need to worry anymore. Just relax and enjoy your tea." But she was already on to them. "Are you two conspiring together?" She shot him a sidelong glance and asked, "What are you planning?" Hearing this, his expression turned to surprise. "The great demon king doesn't know either?" She retorted, "Don't tell me Gamude Vindica is unaware that Wanbei placed a bloodstone inside Ravis Vindica's body?" She froze, horrified, as if she just realized something terrible. She shot to her feet aggressively. "Don't tell me you're planning to use Ravis Vindica to capture Morgus." He threw his hands up with a delighted tone. Exactly. Hearing this about her son, Aeneas truly exploded, angrily grabbing Baka by the neck and screaming, "I'll kill you right now." Terrified, he quickly explained, "No, wait, Ravis Vindica wants to capture him too. How could I possibly ignore my own nephew's wish?" As they argued back and forth, she bit down on his head. "You idiot, you should have died 1,000 years ago," he begged her. It hurts. This scene seemed all too familiar to Wanbi. He just sat there thinking, didn't these two siblings always want to kill each other in their past lives? But then, putting down his teacup, his thoughts turned serious. Morgus, the ruler of death, the god who returns all existence to nothingness. When the winds of death blow, the heavens, hell, and the human world will fall one by one. He rested his chin on his hand, his gaze sharp and calculating. A cruel being who wishes to devour humanity and re-establish the order of hell. Wherever you are, just you wait. Ravis Vindica is already on his way. Meanwhile, Dung Min-ho was also taking care of his sister, who had just been brought to her room. He looked down and thought, Dung Min-ho, the debt paid with your own body is now settled. Their mother rushed in frantically. Why is she passed out in here when she's supposed to be training? Behind her, Dung Taesik and a few others followed, asking worriedly, Dung Min-ho, what's going on? Knowing how to deflect, he answered, It seems she got injured in the training room. At that, Dung Taesik went ballistic, cursing at him. You damn bastard, what did you do? She's a future idol. Dung Min-ho, was this you? Are you two scheming with her to ruin me? His venomous words made the mother snap back. How can you say that? You both opposed Dung Min-ho becoming an idol. He seemed to have lost all reason, only thinking of himself as he yelled back at her. Every time Dung Min-ho appears online, the comments are all praising me. Are you trying to tarnish my image? Then, he aggressively turned to the subordinate behind him and ordered, All right, Kim, get your phone out and start recording Dung Min-ho. I'll say this happened because she was harassed. With a greedy glint in his eye, he laughed like a wild animal. That'll attract even more attention and sympathy. Isn't my idea brilliant? Hearing this, Dung Min-ho seemed to reach his limit. He coldly glared at this shameless creature, his icy voice directed at Dung Taesik. Before he could finish, the mother broke down, unable to take it anymore. Enough! Do you even see this child with your own two eyes? He gritted his teeth. What? Then, to Dung Min-ho's surprise, she turned and poured her heart out. At first, I thought you would be a good father. But as soon as my father passed away, you stole all his money and started preparing your election campaign using my family's connections. She sobbed in anguish. You even used Dung Min-ho. I can't take it anymore. He arrogantly brushed off her words and retorted, I was the one who took in a poor woman who ran away from home and her 2 kids. Don't you remember your father thanking me and asking me to take care of you? He screamed, twisting the past after having devoured her former husband. And now you're trying to kick me out? You ungrateful wench. Looking at the despicable man before him, Dung Min-ho was filled with rage. Every word that comes out of your mouth reeks of filth. Does someone like you even deserve to be called human? Staring straight at him, he looked like he was about to snap. I can't tolerate this insolence any longer. While it's a pity I can't kill mortals in the human realm, she could no longer contain her fury. Shut your mouth, you piece of trash. He was stunned at first, but his blood began to boil. What? What did you just say to me? You dare try to shut me up? Staring at Dung Taesik with eyes full of hatred, I endured the humiliation so I wouldn't hurt the children any further. I did my best to keep them from losing their father a second time. You hypocrite. Was this all just for your public image? Don't make me laugh. Veins started to bulge on Dung Tae-sik's face. Are you insane? She crossed her arms, her hatred transforming into strength as she declared, Listen up. I'm not here to be your lackey anymore. Her determined gaze infuriated him. From now on, I will be the hand that strangles you. This made me reconsider. I had always thought she was just a weak human. The scene was familiar, but this moment reminded me of my own mother. Dung Tae-sik also flew into a rage. What? Who the hell do you people think you are? In a massive facility at the Trungdong base, a large, dark-skinned man was pleading, What are you doing? Please, stop. Don't press the launch button. The man in the black cloak seemed uninterested. Why isn't it working? The dark-skinned man repeatedly tried to warn him. If you launch that, thousands of innocent civilians will die. He didn't listen to a single word and calmly pressed the button, his voice cold. Isn't that what you people intended? The system display lit up, and the room was immediately bathed in red light. Warning, missile launch sequence has been activated. The dark-skinned man cried out in helpless anguish. Oh no, why would you do this? Who are you, really? He replied, I am a demon. The dark-skinned man asked again. What did you just say? He turned back, his expression so cold and emotionless it would strike fear into anyone. Go to the launch area and tell them this was Morgas's doing. Yeah,